believe it. It's not much time. I finish at 12 o'clock. You know that, don't you?
Sorry, Iain.
How rude.
We've full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online. bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the news now. Here's Rob Mayer.
Good morning. The Home Secretary, Theresa May, says she's looking again at introducing banning orders for extremist groups in the UK, even if they're not involved in violence. She says the government needed to give itself all the legal powers necessary in the struggle against terrorism. Zubaida Limbardas from Connect Justice, which offers independent expertise on counter-terror measures. She says ministers should do more than just bolstering the law.
There's an emphasis on reassuring people, and I think the emphasis should also equally shift to addressing what is happening here. How do kind of British Muslims feel, both in terms of discussing foreign policy? One of the things that we're finding post-Gaza as well is where are the safe spaces for young people to discuss foreign policy?
It's thought one egg supplier may have been responsible for an outbreak of salmonella which affected nearly 250 people, including 54 in the West Midlands. Earlier this month, 3 patients at Heartland Hospital in Birmingham who were affected by the infection died, but it wasn't cited as a contributing factor. Public health experts say tests suggest the source was a batch of eggs from a farm in Europe. 13 children have been treated for the suspected effects of fume inhalation after falling ill on a bus trip organised by a church group in Birmingham. It happened last night near Shrewsbury. None of the children needed hospital treatment. The coach has been seized for examination by police and the health and safety executive have been informed. A Walsall man who's been jailed for almost 3 years for illegally uploading the film Fast and Furious 6 to the internet received a lengthy sentence because of the damage done to the film industry. That's according to the man who investigated the case. 25-year-old Philip Danks recorded a cinema screening which was then watched more than 700,000 times. Simon Brown is from the Federation Against Copyright Theft.
What we have to consider here is the economic loss, and certainly potential economic loss to the industry, which has further ongoing implications for the economy in Britain. You know, a lot of people work in the film industry, thousands and thousands of people work on films like this, and they are affected by losses caused by this type of piracy.
In sport, Aston Villa's new boy Carlos Sanchez is likely to be involved in today's game against Newcastle. The Colombian could make his debut for Paul Lambert's side in the lunchtime kick-off at 12:45. Georgios Samaras isn't available for the Baggies game at Southampton, though. That's live on BBC WM 95.6 this afternoon. All the build-up with Franksy and Rigo from 2. Elsewhere, Wolves are at home to Cardiff and Blues travel to Brentford. Those games are on BBC WM's DAB service in Wolverhampton and Birmingham. We'll also have FM updates from Walsall's trip to Leyton Orient. And in cricket, it's T20 finals there at Edgbaston today. The Birmingham Bears face Surrey in the first of the semi-finals at 11 o'clock. Looking at the weather, patchy cloud and sunshine this morning. 1 or 2 isolated showers on the way this afternoon. Highs of 18 Celsius, that's 64 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. It's a mixed bag, a hodgepodge. Is that a word? Hodgepodge. Hodgepodge? There's a lot of stuff to talk about this morning. Kids drinking, swearing on television. We'll be talking about religion and the imposition by others of their religion in a minute. Just quickly throwing back to the news there, Rob was saying that the fellow got a lengthy prison sentence for uploading the movie The Fast and the Furious 6. I'm shocked for 2 reasons. One, the Fast and the Furious series are an awful series of films. And 2, I'm going to ask this question and I'm going to see what happens. We may get nothing, we may get some honesty. Have you ever downloaded illegally a film, a TV series, or an album? I know. To ask you to phone up, bang on the stroke of 9, and confess a crime is not how we normally start the show and won't necessarily generate the most calls. But let's put it out there, because I reckon a significant number of you have done that. And we heard the gentleman there saying about the loss to the movie industry. Well, Vin Diesel seems to be okay. Hollywood seems to be okay. I'm not condoning it. I'm not advocating it. I'm just doing what I often do and asking for honesty from you. Ever illegally downloaded a film, a TV series, DVD box set, or an album? 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Yeah, I know the question I've just asked you is, could you phone up, please, and tell me you've broken the law? Yeah, I know. And it doesn't necessarily generate the most phone calls. But is this in the news? Let's put it out there, because I would imagine that a significant number of you have done it. That you have got your laptops or your PCs, or maybe, can you do it on your phones these days? I'm so old. And you've downloaded The Fast and the Furious, or maybe even a good film. The In-Betweeners. Grand Budapest Hotel. Have you done it? Fella got a lengthy jail sentence. Interesting. And how much damage do you think it does to Hollywood? Yeah, it's stealing. Is it because it's not physical, it's not tangible? You can't hold it in your hands. Is that what makes it different, do we think? I'm going to throw it out there. We may get nothing. I'm hoping this will strike a chord with one of you, and you will call up and tell me your story. Again, I have to say this because, hey, some people don't understand the theatre of radio. I'm not condoning it. I'm not encouraging it. I just want your honest stories, please. 03453 009956. Busy show today. Kids drinking, swearing on television. Put my cards on the table. I think there should be more of it. I watched EastEnders for the first time in years last night. I say I watched it. I watched 5 minutes of it. I didn't know it was still going. Awful programme. Do you know what would make EastEnders good? If they swore in it. I would watch EastEnders if they swore in it, because, hey, guess what? If you've ever been to the East End of London, you can hear quite a lot of swearing there. 03453 009956. But first of all, busy day in Birmingham, busy weekend in Birmingham. Jehovah's Witnesses are expected to descend on Birmingham this weekend as a convention celebrating the faith, the first of its kind in the West Midlands, takes place at the LG Arena. The event, commemorating 100 years of God's kingdom rule, is one of many being held across the country. I'm curious to get your experiences with Jehovah's Witnesses, but also with other religions, please. Now I'm an old fart. When the Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door, if I've not got the kids in and if I've got a few minutes to spare, I'll have a chat with them. Before I used to shut the door or say something, trying to be clever. I won't invite them in. I won't go that far. But I'll have a chat with them. I'll look at their pretty little book and have some banter with them, put forward my points of view and listen to theirs. It's quite good. But I know some people find that an imposition. I know some people find when you're walking down the street, I know this happens a lot in Birmingham city centre, and there will be people of various faiths with their tables and with their megaphones or their microphones shouting and being quite loud. Do you find that an imposition? Should religion be using those tactics to get people involved? 03453 009956. Is it right to impose religion on people? Joined now by Darren Smith, a Jehovah's Witness elder based in the West Midlands. Morning, Darren.
Good morning, Iain.
So, 100 years of God's kingdom rule, what does that mean?
Yes, well, 100 years, of course, takes us to the momentous events of 1914. And all of us will know that 1914 was the outbreak of the First World War. But what's not known by many people, that 1914 also saw the commencement of the fulfillment of Jesus' prophecy of Matthew chapter 24, which spoke about international warfare, which would identify the arrival of God's kingdom.
So when is Jesus coming?
Well, Jesus has already arrived. He's in kingdom power since 1914, and the visible proof of that presence are the events that we see on the earth today, such as international conflict, great earthquakes, famines,
But
increasing of lawlessness.
there's always been international conflict and earthquakes and famines, hasn't there? There's always been those things.
Absolutely, there has. But what was unique about the sign that Jesus gave was that the events that he detailed would all come together during one specific period of time called the last days, or the conclusion of the system of things. So we firmly believe that we're living during that period since 1914.
How long is it going to go on for? When is you talk about the last days? When is the last day?
That's an excellent question. Last, or conclusion, signifies an end, and that's exactly what's going to happen with the Battle of Armageddon, which is mentioned in the book of Revelation. As to when, the day and the hour, nobody knows. We know the time period that we're living in is the last days, so we're expecting it in the very near future.
Now, listen, when you ladies and you gentlemen come and knock on doors, now I'm an old man, and if the kids aren't in the house, I enjoy having a little chat with you. But I would imagine that knocking on the door, sometimes you get a bit of abuse. Is that right?
Well, most people actually are very friendly, to be quite honest with you, and welcome our calls, because what we find is many people have questions about what's happening in the world with all the unusual events that are taking place. Also, many people have questions about family life, bringing up children, how to cope with the stresses and strains of modern living. So very often we're able to use the Bible to bring comfort and help people with these difficult questions.
What are your views on bringing up children in faith? I've got two boys, they're 4 and 2, and I am quite happy for them to make their own discoveries and their own journeys about whether they believe or whether they don't, and whether they'll become Christians or Jehovah's or Muslim or whatever. Surely it's up to the person to make their own journey, isn't it?
Absolutely, that's right, and we totally agree with that. That's why we don't carry out christenings or infant baptism, because that would be imposing our faith upon our children. What we do and what you do, which you've just commented on, is that you endeavour to bring your children up in the best way possible, and so likewise do we, by Bible principles. And then when they're of an age to decide for themselves what they want to do, they can make that decision.
Those little comics that you hand out to people when you knock on their door, is that what you actually think heaven looks like?
I think you're talking about the Watchtower and the Awake magazine, but also there are many brochures and publications.
Yeah. Well, it's got it's all wonderful with green grass and trees and tigers and things like that. It's very beautiful. Is that what you think it looks like?
Well, when Jesus spoke about a time when paradise would be restored to the earth, the purpose of the brochures is really to give an artist's impression of what Jesus was referring to there. So it's you'll find that all the illustrations are based upon Bible scriptures, and that basically bring to life what's written down in the Bible.
OK, let's go for the sixth form argument. If God exists, if Jesus exists, why do babies die? Why did a journalist get his head chopped off the other day? Why do such horrible, terrible tragedies happen?
That's an excellent question, and that's perhaps the most common question we get asked as we go from door to door. Very briefly, what we have to understand is that when God originally created the earth, he did not intend the world to be like this. Our first parents were put in a paradise garden. They were given the direction to expand that garden worldwide, to have children, to fill the earth, and to live forever on a paradise earth. Rebellion took place. Serious questions were raised during that time of rebellion, and we are now living in the results of that rebellion. But God's plan is to restore what he originally intended. And to
by wiping out all the
conditions.
sinners?
Well, the Battle of Armageddon is a war in which there will be global conflict, and there will be those who will pass through what the Bible refers to as the Great Tribulation and the Battle of Armageddon. And as to who passes through, well, on an individual basis, we are not to judge anybody, but the Bible does give direction that those who are righteous, it refers to, those who are meek, those who call upon the name of Jehovah, those are the ones that will be saved.
Chris, I could talk to you all morning because this is fascinating, but we have to go in a second. I've just had an email from Chris, who says, Iain, these joyless so-and-sos do impose their religion on children by not allowing their offspring to celebrate birthdays and Christmas. What's your reaction to that?
Right, as far as Christmas is concerned, if we consult any encyclopedia, we'll see that Christmas does not represent the birthday of Jesus Christ. It, in fact, dates back to pagan religion and celebrations, the return of the sun, And so as Christians who are following the example of Jesus and the first century disciples, how could we celebrate a pagan festival?
Okay. Final question, and then I'll let you go. Did God make the world in 7 days, or was it made millions of years ago by a big explosion?
There certainly was a big explosion that took place. That was the beginning. The 7 days that are referred to in the book of Genesis are time periods. So, for instance, today we all use the expression, in my Father's day. We don't refer to a 24-hour day, but we refer to an age or an era. And so the days of creation refer to time periods or eras of creation.
OK. Listen, Darren, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. That's Darren, who's a Jehovah's Witness, who's going to be... he's Darren Smith. He's a Jehovah's Witness elder, no less. And no doubt he'll be at the event this weekend. 03453 009956. Let's get the travel. Let's go over to Liz. Liz, what have you got for us, please?
Well, Ian, it's looking a little bit congested again around the northbound side of the M6 toll. That's junction 3A. Some sort of traffic problem again there. Police are on the way to the scene. It's heavy going into Birmingham around Dartmouth Circus as you head along the Aston Expressway and towards the A38. Of course, that's likely to be much more congested than usual with the closure of the Queensway tunnels. You also have the cricket going on at Edgbaston and traffic is starting to build around there as well, near to the cricket ground. And play gets underway this morning at 11 o'clock. Your matchday travel sees West Bromwich fans heading to Southampton. Down the M40, the A34 and the M3. Traffic is generally looking OK on those routes. I haven't had any reports of problems or delays. Blues fans heading to Brentford for this afternoon's game. The M40, M25, M4, those routes all looking fine as well. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Sonny is without a doubt the romantic in this relationship.
Hello, my name is Sunny Casanova, and I'm proud of it.
I'm just not that type of a girl.
I'm a Libra, man. You know what? If I'm going to play, I'm playing to win. The most annoying thing about my wife is can't tell a joke around her, because if she knows a joke, she'll give you the punchline.
Sunny?
Oh, okay, yes, I know one. Okay, so there's 3 tomatoes bouncing down the street. Mama tomato.
Oh, I know this one. Ketchup.
Every time then.
Afternoons with Sonny and Shay. A brand new afternoon show.
Starts on Bank Holiday Monday.
From 2.
BBC WM 95.6.
Hey, that's exciting, isn't it? Sonny and Shay. Can I do a plug? Yes, why not? I'll be doing Fridays. I'll be doing Friday afternoons 2 till 4, as well as Saturday mornings 9 till 12. When does that start? Friday, September the 12th, I think. Thereabouts. So that'll be fun. OK, so listen, you just heard Darren Smith, a Jehovah's Witness, talking about their religion. What do I want to ask about this? I guess, is it OK to impose your religion on other people? And there are many different forms that takes. It is the Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on your door. Ever had that? Can I just... I will say this. Has anyone else noticed in the last 3-4 years that Jehovah's Witnesses that knock on the door have got, this is terribly inappropriate, but I've noticed it and others have noticed it, have got really good looking. They have. It's like really hot guys and attractive women. Is that a conscious thing? Am I the only one to have noticed that? 03453 009956. But imposing religion, it can be done in other ways as well. The indoctrination of children. I think I'm not keen on kids being brought up in the faith. I'm keen on kids being taught about various other faiths, and then they make their minds. They make their own minds up. My boy's 4 and 2. They start talking about Jesus. I haven't asked about Muhammad yet, but that will be presented to them at some point. I guess the greatest form of indoctrination, of imposing your religious views on a young person is, I've forgotten the word. What's the... Oh, gosh, this is... How do I describe this? What's the word when they... circumcision. Thank you very much. I'm glad I didn't need to describe that. Circumcision of young boys for religious purposes. That is always one that struck me as... Well, I don't think it's right. I don't think you should be able to do that. Am I just dissing the whole Jewish faith? No, I'm not. But that aspect of it makes me very, very uncomfortable. 03453 009956 is the phone number. Your thoughts on... and I don't really have a great question for this. I guess the best one we can come up with at the moment is it right to impose religion on other people? It's a little bit vague, a little bit airy-fairy. But if you can give me your thoughts on that, 03453 009956. Well, listening to Darren was Martin Folkes, who's a member of the British Humanist Association from Birmingham. Morning, Martin.
Hiya.
What did you think about what Darren, Jehovah's Witness, had to say?
Well, I smile at the Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm like you. Saturday morning they often knock the door and I like to have a nice chat with them. And they're very nice people. But what they have to... Some of the things that they say are and I don't want to be insulting, but some of the things that they say are really rather silly. I believe, as a humanist, that... no, we shouldn't impose our religion on other people. And the problem is that we impose our religion on our children virtually as soon as our children are able to communicate. If I was born in Saudi Arabia, I would be a Muslim. It's quite simply, if I was born in Southern Ireland, I would very likely be a Roman Catholic. It's got nothing to do with what is right or what is wrong or whether there's a God or not. It just depends on where you're born.
Is knocking on someone's door on a Saturday morning, is that an imposition? Is that bullying?
Well, they're only doing, of course, what they say the Bible tells them to do, to go out and as apostles, and they think that they're acting as apostles. Actually, and again, I don't want to be too disrespectful to the Jehovah's Witnesses, but they are part of an organisation that was founded in the early 20th century by somebody who was a religious printer who wanted to make a lot of money by selling books and pamphlets. And although they don't know that now particularly because they accept their religion as it's given to them, that's what they do. They go out and they're essentially a money-making organisation.
The impositions I have more problems with are the people who stand on high streets, particularly in Birmingham city centre, with their tables, with their megaphones, with their microphones. Those are the ones that really annoy me, I think.
But that's the price we pay for free speech, of course, isn't it? And I don't deny anybody the right of being able to stand up on a street corner and say what they like. I make a point, and it irritates my wife something awfully, but whenever I walk past the Jehovah's Witnesses or anybody selling God anywhere, I just go up to them and say, there is no God. And that completely confuses them.
You're one of those. What does your wife say when you do that, Martin?
Sorry, they don't understand. It's a concept that they cannot grasp. A lot of people, because we've always had the church, a lot of people cannot understand how people cannot believe in a God. They think that you've got to believe in something, when in reality, I believe in science and I believe in nature, and I don't believe that there's any sort of magic fairy in the sky that just sits there waiting for people to worship him and ask him to answer their prayers. But
have you got kids, Martin?
I've got two grown-up children, yes.
And are they humanists?
We never discuss it particularly, but I would say my daughter, I think it definitely is. My son has got a degree in philosophy, so he's very, very well read. But it's something we never discuss. They know that I'm a humanist funeral officiant, and I think it's true to say they're proud of what I do.
Because we talk about indoctrination and imposition of our beliefs. It could be argued that you have done that to your kids, not directly, but they picked up on...
I refused to have my children baptised. Unbeknown to me, when I wasn't in the house, my wife baptised them herself in the bathroom sink.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think she regrets that now. But
why was she doing that? Is that because she's a believer, or was she hedging her bets?
She felt it was the right thing to do. And she felt that the children were being not given something. I think her views have changed over the years, but that's how she felt in the 1970s.
But I don't know if you heard my comment about circumcising young Jewish boys. What are your thoughts on that?
It's assault. It's common assault. If you had one of your children and you decided because of your religion that you would chop their little finger off on their left hand, that would be common assault, wouldn't it? The police would arrest you or social services would be called in. What difference does it make? female circumcision is one of the biggest evils in the world. And I'm sure we have quite a number of people in this country that fly their children back to Africa or somewhere to have the operation done. It's common assault, and the people that do it ought to be punished.
It's interesting.
And it's not just Jews, of course, it's Muslims.
You're right. Yeah, thank you for pointing out. I've got two boys, and my youngest, when he was 18 months, had a terrible bladder infection, a kidney infection, and he had to be circumcised for medical reasons. And it really upset me. It really upset me that was being done, and I spoke to the doctors and said, is there any other thing we can do? They said, well, it's probably best, and we did it. But it was a real big decision to make to do that.
Yeah. So to have that done for no other reason than because some book that was written 3,000 years ago and has been translated and changed in translation from Hebrew to Aramaic, from Aramaic to Greek, from Greek to Roman, from Roman to English, and to say that it was written by and is the word and the rule of God is plain daft.
Martin, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
Martin is... nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Martin's a member of the British Humanist Association. Interesting, isn't it? 03453 009956, the imposition of religion. And we started off with the Jehovah's Witnesses, but it's kind of everywhere. Abuse to circumcise young Jewish boys. That's what Martin is saying. And it does leave me scratching my head a bit as to why we do it. Well, we do it because back in the day... I think, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't want young boys to get sand in their, foreskins. That's what it was for, because people lived in the desert. Well, yeah, we don't live in the desert anymore. You know, we know about hygiene and about washing. Gosh, I'm treading delicately around this, as one should when dealing with willies. 03453 009956, the circumcision, and this isn't, someone will interpret it as this isn't an anti-Semitic rant. This is not a knock of the whole Jewish faith. It happens, Muslims do as well. The circumcision of young boys is one imposition of religion that really leaves me scratching my head. Tread carefully, please. 03453 009956 is the phone number. Malcolm's on the line. Morning, Malcolm.
Hello, Ian.
What would you like to say?
Well, actually, I found up because you keep on referring to yourself as an old fart, and I was just wondering, how old was you?
I'm 41.
Well, you're not old fart. What's the matter with you, man?
Oh, bless
You're
you.
not that old. You're only a youngster yet.
Do you know what? I feel old, though, Malcolm. That's the thing. I'm really feeling it the last year or so. Maybe it's having young boys. Maybe it's doing a breakfast show where I get up at 4 every morning. I'm knackered all the time.
Well, maybe. But this other thing about Jehovah's Witnesses going on about. Well, I'm like some of the other callers. I tend to think that you should, we should all learn about each other's faith. You know, we should be learned and study whatever you want to study. Then you make up your own mind which one you want to follow.
Okay, what do you know, Malcolm, about Sikhs?
Sikhs? I don't, not too much. Only what you see some of them that are a little bit different, and that they have to wear the turbans and with the hair and things like that.
So all you know about Sikhs is that they're a little bit different and they wear turbans. So who?
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure who they're they pray to. I think I don't know whether it's an idol or one of these other gods that they call,
I think they might have... Again, listen, this is funny because I don't know a lot about Sikhs. I think they might have a couple of gods. I think they might be lucky. They might have more than one. Yeah. I also know that they wear daggers strapped to their legs.
Yeah.
But that's it. But the reason I mention that, Malcolm, is you're saying that we should learn about other religions, but yet you've not learned about other religions.
No. Well, I'm 69. I was born at, I was sort of told, that's
not too old to learn.
Of England, that's it, sort of thing. But
it's not too old to learn. Go and get some books.
No, I know, but I'm not bothered about religion, really. I don't like religion at all.
Oh.
I'm one of these people who think religion is the cause of all the problems in this world today. And so, therefore, I'm just a person who, maybe like that other who said he's a humanist, shall we say, just, we have a law, you live by law and decency and try to help people and that and so on and that sort of thing.
Malcolm, thanks for your call. I appreciate your time. 03453 009956. Yeah, we should learn about loads of other religions. Of course we should. And then Malcolm making that point, and then he's too old. He's 69. He doesn't know anything about other religions. I don't know anything about Sikhs, actually, now I think about it. I just picked them at random. Who do Sikhs pray to? Is it Vishnu? Is Vishnu a Sikh? I've got no idea. I'm probably offending thousands of people listening to this all across Birmingham and the West Midlands. I do apologise. 03453 009956. Let's try and learn about Sikhs today, shall we? John's in Walsall. Morning, John.
Good morning there.
What would you like to say?
Oh, so much.
Go on.
Imposition. Religion being an imposition. I've been a preacher for 38 years, and sad to say I would have to agree with that entirely. I'll give you a quick example. James Foley was beheaded the other day by a man who can't and could not prove even that God exists. There's no way that man can prove God exists, and yet on the strength of his belief, he's gone out and beheaded another man. I think that's a kind of imposition. I found, because of what the Jehovah's Witness had said, the guy who came on at the beginning.
Well, let's go. We'll go on to Darren in a second, the Jehovah's Witness. But you say it's interesting. You're a preacher,
yeah,
and yet you're talking about someone who couldn't prove that God existed. You can't prove that God exists.
I've got a good friend who's a Muslim, and some time ago I said to him, "If you can prove to me that God exists, I will give you my house happily. If you can prove to me that God exists." And I said to him, don't quote the Quran, just as you shouldn't quote the Bible. Give me solid proof that God exists. And the fact is, there's not a person in this world, the Pope, any imam, any religious leader, can prove that God actually exists.
Hang on, you're a preacher. Surely it should be your job to prove that God...
Well,
How do you know that God exists?
All religion is based on faith.
Yeah.
It's something you believe, but you cannot prove. And I'd just like to make the point that this shows just how evil people are when they go out and commit incredible acts of depravity and murder in the name of a God they can't themselves prove exists.
But you know that horrible atrocities have happened in the name of Christ as well?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. If you go back 500 years, there was the Spanish Inquisition. They actually wiped out a whole nation in South America on the basis of a God they themselves could not prove.
Well, there was the fella in Norway about 5-6 years ago, Anders Breivik, who went nuts and shot a load of kids on an island.
It's not one religion. It's about all religions. It's not... I mean, for instance, there are many good Muslims about, and there are many Muslims who absolutely detest what's happening in the world. And they base their religion on the Quran, the way they see it. But these extremists that go out and kill people, they're using the same book, but they're choosing other sections of the same book.
But John, isn't that what you do as a Christian preacher? You are interpreting the Bible in line with your specific church and the way you've been taught it. Other people interpret it in different ways.
Well, there is what you might call a general interpretation, both of the Quran and the Bible. And the general interpretation is that God is good and God is love, and Satan, the devil, is bad and is evil. And that is the very basic interpretation, that the Bible and the Quran are revealing a being that is wholly good and wholly loving.
But some people would dispute the existence of the devil in the Bible. That they say it's not literal; it's a metaphor. So it is all open to interpretation. What makes you think that your interpretation is right?
Well, back to the devil. I mean, if you're going to base a faith on the Bible, then you should believe in the devil, because Jesus did. Jesus spoke with the devil in the wilderness. So if you're going to base a Christian belief on the Bible, you should look at the Bible and see what the Bible says.
John, what's the best religion?
I think the best religion is the one that creates a good and kind person, gives them a faith that they gives them a faith that they can carry forward and be happy with. So you're asking me what the best religion is. I can't easily answer that, because from my point of view, I believe God has revealed himself in many different ways.
John, listen, I appreciate... I know I've asked you an impossible question. Thank you. 03453 009956. That was interesting. He's a minister, and he was saying that he can't prove there's a God. That's the thing about religion, is that I find frustrating, is the faith that people have. The faith. I'd love to have it. I don't. Not saying, I'm not quite sure what I am yet. It's a journey, man. But the faith that people have, that's frustrating, I find. 03453 009956. Jim's in Pipe Hayes. Morning, Jim.
All right, there. Yeah.
What have you got for us?
Well, what it was, when we was growing up, when we was kids, our mum was a Roman Catholic, my dad was president, so we went with our mum's side of the thing, and we used to have to go to church every Sunday, and I was an altar boy and all this lot. And then my sister, I never carried it through. I ain't been to church since I was a kid, but my sister, she changed into Jehovah's Witness in her 20s, sort of mid-20s, after she had a child, and she was ill. And the next door neighbour come round to look after her. And while she was ill, she converted her. And then ever since then, she ain't been the same kind of person. She sort of like... she tried to convert our mum when our mum sort of had Alzheimer's, and I used to come back and she was making our mum cry, and I used to go, "What's going on, mum?" And she'd go, "Kathy wants me to be a Jehovah's Witness," and I used to go, "That's wrong, Kath. Can't do that." You know what I mean? She's been a Roman Catholic all her life. And Mother's Day, they don't celebrate Christmas and Easter and all that. Yeah. Everybody's got a mother. I want to know, do they celebrate Mother's Day? Because my sister doesn't.
Mother's Day's an odd one, because that was just made up, wasn't it, by a card company?
Yeah, probably.
So it's not like it's not a proper day.
No, it's not like a religious thing, is it? Really?
No. Do you say that your sister was converted when she was ill? Do you think that she was taken advantage of?
Yes, because I think a lot of these Jehovah's Witnesses, they're sort of... They're like seeing a gypsy at the fair, and you'll have bad luck if you don't buy the heather off them. They sort of threaten you with Armageddon or things like that. And if you're not feeling too hot yourself, you've just had an operation or something like that, or you've been on death's door, and they seem to talk you around. They love you to be ill. Something like that.
I don't know if Jehovah's Witnesses necessarily love you to be ill. I don't think that's one of their teachings. But
anyway.
Yeah, okay. What do you think about imposing religion on kids? You say you were brought up Roman Catholic, and I guess you went to church.
Yeah,
At what point did you kind of stop that?
This is the thing, you see. I think our mum sort of imposed a religion on us.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know no different, you see. And every chance I got, if she sent us down to church on our own, I never used to go. Not that I was bad or anything like that. I just didn't find it very exciting, because you don't when you're a kid, do you? No, and my sister never used to go. And so then when my sister become a Jehovah's Witness, she done exactly the same to her kids. You know what I mean? And they got bullied in school because those Jehovah's Witnesses and whatnot and all this.
Jim,
so I don't think it's right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your call. 03453 009956 is the phone number. We're talking about the imposition of religion. And it's as vague as that. 11,000 Jehovah's Witnesses are converging in Birmingham this weekend for a conference. And I'm sure there might be one or two knocks on the doors. Hey, imagine if 11,000 turned up. You certainly wouldn't be inviting those guys in for tea. And I want to know if you feel it's right for religion to be imposed on people. Is someone knocking on your door 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning? Is that an imposition? Really? I used to view it as that. I still hide from them sometimes. I hide from them in my own house. Imagine that. I'm 41 years old. There are bigger impositions. It's the dudes who hang out in city centres with the megaphones or the microphones. Christians and Muslims. I don't think I've seen any other religions being quite so loud. They're the ones that annoy me. Yeah, they annoy me. They irritate me. And another imposition is circumcising young boys for whatever faith. Now, I know it's Saturday, so we might not get too many calls from Jews, but if someone can phone up, we spoke to a humanist earlier on who said it's abuse. It's abuse of young boys to circumcise them, to cut bits of their willies off. If someone can phone up, please, and no one has ever been able to do this for me yet, and tell me why circumcision for religious purposes is acceptable, oh, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you. 03453 009956. Jerome's in Selly Oak. Morning, Jerome.
Morning, Iain.
Yes,
I'm challenging you on some of your language that you're using.
Go on.
I believe we're not imposing, but we're offering our religion to other people.
Who are you?
Richness of our religion.
What faith are you?
I'm a Roman Catholic.
You're a Roman Catholic, OK.
Yeah, and I do go out evangelising, both in the Bullring and around the streets of my parish in Selly Oak. Yes, so, no, we offer our faith. We never impose. This is the freest country in the world, by the way, Iain, so we can never impose anything. It's like you're saying the language you're using is sort of like we're great autocrats. So that's my first point. The second point, you're talking about children. You're saying, is it right to impose your religion on children? Well, no, but, Iain, from whom do the children learn their values? If
from
not
their
the
parents. Yeah.
And the third...
No, hang on, let's say with the second point, because I don't get it.
Which one?
The second point you just made.
About the children.
Yeah. Well, the children learn their values initially from their parents, and then if they're hopefully from their teachers, if they got good teachers. Some of them pick up some of their values, unfortunately, from television, although that's not always necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. And then they make their own values judgments.
Yeah, well, that's right. But who guides them then? Who guides them? Yeah, we're not imposing values, but we're trying to...
I don't know. You're trying to get me to say something. I don't know what the answer is. Why don't you tell me who guides them?
Well, sure, it's the parents in the first instance.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the factor of the school. My parents...
But if you're a parent and you've got a 4-year-old kid, and every Sunday you take them to church, and every night before you go to bed you read them a story from the Bible, and you get down on your knees and you say you have to pray to Jesus, and we're going to thank Jesus for that, is imposing your belief on them, isn't it?
Well,
because children naively and blindly follow what their parents say. They don't question it until they're much older.
In one way, you're right, Iain, in that way. But the other way is that they get to about 15, 16, and a lot of them will reject the values of their parents and try and learn, the values from their peers. If they want to, yeah.
But that still means for the first 15 years that your religious worldview has been imposed on them. Why not one Sunday take them to a Catholic church, next Sunday take them to a Protestant church, then go to a mosque, then go to a Quakers meeting house, then go to a Jehovah's temple? Why not do that and let them experience and see all the different religions, and then also say, hey, do you know what? There's a possibility that maybe God doesn't even exist, and let them weigh up their own evidence.
Well, yes, that's a very interesting idea. And two other points, Iain, if you don't mind me moving on a bit. One of the things I do when we knock on the door and ask people in the building and wherever I go is what is the purpose of life and what happens when you die? And,
right.
Yeah. And the last point is for the humanists. The humanists, I'll leave you with a little very humorous one. Okay. And the humanists and the atheists, I always say to them, I admire your faith. It must be difficult to believe in nothing.
But then that sounds like you're having a pop at them. Why would you have a pop at them? I wouldn't...
You've got to be the right person in the right frame of mind.
Why would you... But Jerome, why would I wouldn't now? Maybe when I was younger, I wouldn't now have a pop at you for your beliefs. I wouldn't have a little dig.
No.
I don't agree with it, but that's fine. But why would you have a little dig at them?
Yeah, perhaps I shouldn't have said that. All right then. Iain,
What is the one final thing, because you raised it up.
I'll withdraw that last one then.
No, okay, all right, fair play. You asked people what the meaning of life is. What is the meaning of life?
Well, it is what your interpretation is. For mine, it is to serve and love and serve God. But to other people, it might be something different. So it's a question for them to think about. It's a rhetorical question, Iain.
Okay,
it's not a sort of black and white.
Jerome, I've got to end it there because we're late for the travel. Thank you very much. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. I'll tell you what the meaning of life is. I'll tell you what the meaning of life is, Liz.
Yes, what is it?
Listen to as much
I
good...
thought it was level 42.
What, the 80s pop band? No. The meaning of life is to listen to as much good music as you can and just be nice to people.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's a good philosophy.
And also to find out what's happening on the roads and the trains.
Exactly. As you make your way around Edgbaston, you'll find it slow going on Edgbaston Road and Pershaw Road. Now, there's cricket going on, the T20 finals. It gets underway at 11 o'clock, but obviously traffic is already making its way around there, so you are facing delays. The A34 in Great Bar, that's looking rather busy towards Queslett Road, the Scott Arms traffic lights. Kings Heath is quite congested on the High Street, and around Dartmouth Circus is also heavy going as you head in and out of the city. Of course, the Queensway tunnels are still shut and major roadworks continue for another week or so. As you make your way onto the motorways and your match day travel sees Baggies fans heading down to Southampton. It's a good 3.5 hour journey, although the M40 and the A34 not reporting any delays or incidents at the moment. The M3 as you head into Southampton is also looking okay. Blues fans going to Brentford, again the M40, which is fine. The M25 not too busy just yet, and the M4 is also looking all right. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Vyman has found the corner of the net. Villa's first goal of the new Premier League season.
Claret and blue, gold and black, blues and saddlers, Baggies attack.
Must be! It's Berahino again!
Will not shy away from a challenge. We've been dragged through the dirt. Stand up and show your true colours. Kiss the badge on your shirt.
Where's Thomas for Birmingham City?
You always need someone to share every moment. We'll be there till the season's end. Your club is our club. The goal horn awaits, my football friend.
The station for commentary this season.
BBC WM
95.6.
I've been reminded, right, that we're living in the future. There's a weird thing happening today at 11 o'clock. I say weird. The signal is going to be split. What on earth does that mean? Well, if you're listening on DAB, then you will be able to hear from 11 o'clock live coverage of the T20 Blast. Yeah, I know it sounds exciting, it's cricket. The T20 Blast semi-final between the Birmingham Bears and Surrey. I would suggest the Birmingham Bears got a better name. The Surrey... Surrey Snowballs? No. Anyway, so that will happen at 11. If you're listening on good old-fashioned FM, then you'll still hear me banging on about stuff. I'll remind you a bit later on, because it's... yeah, I'm confused. Keep taking your calls about religion. We'll talk more about it after 10 o'clock. 03453 009956. The imposition of religion. Is it right to impose it on our kids? And we are. By very dint of what we believe in, we pass on our beliefs to our kids. And I would love somebody from any faith to phone in this morning and justify the circumcision of young boys. It's the one thing I don't get. For religious purposes, I don't get... I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as the humanist guest earlier on who said it was abuse. I'd have to think about whether I'd go that far. 03453 009956. We'll take your calls on that. I know we're getting a few texts and calls as well about downloading movies and albums illegally. Fella's been sent to prison for a long time for putting the Fast and the Furious 6, of all things, up online. But be honest, you've done it, haven't you? You've downloaded a movie. It was free. Cheaper than buying the DVD. You weren't sure you were going to like it, so you've downloaded albums for free. Of course you have. Of course you have. Is Hollywood really suffering? as a direct result of you downloading The Inbetweeners 2? 03453 00 9956. You can text 81333, start your text WM, or you can send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Now, did you vote this week? Vote? Election? What election? Well, apparently it was depressing. That's the way the Electoral Reform Society is describing the low voter turnout for the by-election this week, which saw a new police and crime commissioner elected for the West Midlands. Labour's David Jamieson will succeed the late Bob Jones after receiving 50% of the vote. But get this, guys, only 1 in 10 people actually balloted. Well, we've been asking shoppers in Birmingham if they paid a trip to their polling station.
I didn't even know that there was a vote going on yesterday. I didn't know nothing about it.
I did, yes, and I voted. And I read the bump.
No, but I let it come through the post that I briefly looked at and then put it aside, and that was the end of that.
I didn't vote for the simple reason I completely forgot.
I think it is important for me to vote as a resident, and also, as I said, because it's my responsibility to choose the person to protect my city and my family.
I don't get a benefit of voting, really. We vote for our local, whoever it is, but I don't get anything out of it, to be honest.
Well, listening to that is David Jamieson, the new West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner. Morning, David.
Good morning.
First off, congratulations. But secondly, it must be a bit of a hollow victory with only 10% of the electorate bothering to vote.
Well, thank you very much for your congratulations. But I know that over 200,000 people did vote in this election. Over 100,000 of them voted for me. That's many more votes than any MP in the area would have. So I'm delighted that people came out and supported.
But it's a bigger area, isn't it? It's covering a bigger area.
It is covering a very big area, from Coventry all the way over to Wolverhampton.
So that's why you got more votes than a politician?
Well, I am a politician, but a politician and a commissioner now.
I thought that the PCCs and politics were supposed to be separate. That was the big selling point a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Well, that was the selling point of the government, and this is where the whole thing has been botched. Because they started off by, they made a mess of getting the legislation through Parliament, and we had an election in the middle of November, if you recall, last time in 2012, which was just about the worst time you could have it. Except this time we found even worse time to have an election. It's in the middle of August, when many of the people, the voters, were away, and many of the party helpers were away.
So when would have been a good time to hold it? If the two elections so far have been the wrong time, when would you suggest they hold the next one?
I believe it was UKIP that triggered the election, which caused it to happen in the middle of August. The three main parties, we would have preferred to have moved the election on to September, partly because many of the polling stations weren't available in August and they had to be moved around, which caused confusion. And it would have given a proper opportunity, a longer opportunity for parties and, of course, individuals who wanted to stand in the election to be able to put up a campaign. But it's almost impossible for a small party or for an individual to put up a campaign to contact 2 million voters in a matter of 30 days.
So, a couple of points here. You're saying that the position of PCC is now political?
Well, the political parties, 4 political parties in this election, put up candidates.
Because that goes against the very tenet of when it was sold to us a couple of years ago, that everyone was apolitical.
Yeah, well, that was the Tory government, and this is where they got it hopelessly wrong, because there's no chance of an individual, unless they're a sort of millionaire with... and you've got to ask yourself, why would a millionaire be standing anyway, and why would they want to do the job? Unless they've got vast personal wealth, nobody can actually, no individual can actually do it. But what I signed yesterday, after the election was declared, I signed a pledge, and I made this pledge at the end of the count, that I would serve all people, regardless of their party and regardless of whether they voted or not. And the pledge that I signed says just that. So once you are elected, then you get on with the job, looking after all the people throughout the whole area. And what's important is that people in the whole of the West Midlands have a say and somebody who will represent them in terms of getting good policing in their area.
It would turn out that people don't care about having a say in the PCC if only 10% of the electorate turned up. There was one polling station where they had 19 people turn up to vote throughout the whole day. That's embarrassing, isn't it?
But on the other hand, 200,000 people did go and vote. I mean,
that's 10%.
But remember this, I didn't create this situation. I didn't create the law. Because of the very sad death of Bob Jones, I stepped in as a candidate to do the job. Somebody's got to do the job. There is a big budget. It's a £540 million budget that's got to be spent on behalf of the people of the West Midlands to make sure their homes are safe and their streets are safe. And that's the job I'm going to do over the next few weeks. I'm not looking back over my shoulder. I'm looking forward to what I can do for the people of the West Midlands.
But, and by the way, just, hats off to Bob Jones. What a nice bloke, and what a surprise that was. What a great loss. But you have to accept, you keep saying 200,000 people voted, which is great, but it is only 10%. People just aren't interested, are they? It was, I mean, what was the turnout last time? Something like 23% or something like that?
No, the turnout last time was 12% to just over.
12%. Oh, OK, so
yes,
it's...
And you remember in local elections, local council elections, can go anything from 15% up to 50%. So there are large numbers of people who just don't cast a vote for various reasons. This election, the government, the way they presented the legislation, gave very little time. I mean, it was just 35 days we had from the declaration of the election to the actual election taking place. And remember, some of the postal votes went out within 12 days of the election being called, which is almost an impossibility to get information out to nearly 200,000 postal voters as it happens. So, the government need to really look at the legislation, and to have legislation that allows an election to take place in August, triggered by just two people from a minority party, is frankly ludicrous. And I think we could have had this election perhaps a bit later on in the autumn, when perhaps individuals could have come in and there'd have been more opportunity for all the candidates to have got the information out to the public.
At what point do we admit that the PCC experiment hasn't worked?
Well, at the point when the government really look at the legislation again, I have to say Bob Jones was opposed to the Police and Crime Commissioner position being created, but he turned out to be, if not one of the best in the country. So, I mean, but my job again is not to be just saying the job can't be done. I've got to do the job. Bob was doing the job well. I've got to actually prioritise policing to, tackle the antisocial behaviour, tackle car crime, etc. And in some areas, gang crime and gun crime. All those things have got to be tackled. But in the meantime, I've been talking to my colleagues in the Labour Party, Yvette Cooper and Jack Dromey, I've been talking to, and we're looking to see if there's other ways in which we can bring more democracy in and get more people interested in the position, so that ordinary people have a much greater say in what happens with our policing.
Do you think that the PCC should be ultimately scrapped and that it's not worked?
Well, I don't know about scrap, but I think we need to look at ways of expanding how local people involve themselves with the process. I think that it's a fairly new post. I mean, it's only been in existence just over 18 months. And, if people are getting to understand it better, more people understand it than they did 2 years ago. But nevertheless, I think we've got to look at ways in which people have more say about how the budget is spent in their area. Because I always say that I'm not the expert on crime in every part of the West Midlands, but the people who live in the communities in Coventry or Walsall or Wolverhampton or Birmingham, those are the people that are the experts. They know what the problems are in their community, and they should be having a say in how that they are policed.
David, I appreciate talking to you, and I look forward to speaking to you over the coming months. And again, congratulations, David Jamieson, the new West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner. Did you vote? Did you not vote? Did you know about it? Interesting as well, David saying he's not an expert on crime, and he's the Police and Crime Commissioner. Interesting. Your thoughts, please. 03453 009956.
We've full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online. bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Well, that first hour flew by. Thank you. We'll take more of your calls on religion, on the police, on illegally downloading films. But before that, let's get the news. Here's Rob Mayer.
Good morning. The Home Secretary has insisted that the government is taking action to counter the threat of British citizens travelling to Syria and Iraq to engage in terrorism. The Theresa May says new measures are being brought forward to tackle extremism, but warns the struggle against groups such as Islamic State will continue for decades. Suja Shafi from the Muslim Council of Britain says everybody needs to be involved in tackling the problem.
We all have a part to play. Muslims, non-Muslims, parents, activists, governments, all of us have got a part to play and make sure that they're not alienated, make sure that they understand that they have a stake in society.
13 children have been treated for the suspected effects of fume inhalation after falling ill on a coach trip organised by a church group in Birmingham. It happened last night near Shrewsbury. None of the children needed hospital treatment. The coach has been seized for examination by police and the health and safety executive have been informed. It's thought one egg supplier is probably responsible for an outbreak of salmonella which affected nearly 250 people, including more than 50 in the West Midlands. Earlier this month, the 3 patients at Heartland Hospital in Birmingham who were affected by the infection died, but it wasn't cited as a contributing factor. Public health experts say tests suggest the source was a batch of eggs from a farm in Europe. 11,000 Jehovah's Witnesses are in Birmingham this weekend in the first meeting of its kind in the West Midlands. It's taking place at the LG Arena and will commemorate 100 years of God's kingdom rule. Raphael Waite is a representative of Jehovah's Witnesses.
We believe that God's kingdom is a heavenly government that will usher in exactly what we're yearning for, which is the vast majority of us want perfect health, positive conditions, unity amidst people worldwide. So the convention this weekend will be focusing on the blessings of the kingdom and also how each and every one of us can avail ourselves of those blessings.
And a huge fire in Smethwick last year has prompted a new code of practice for the sale and use of Chinese sky lanterns. The blaze at a recycling plant was the largest that West Midlands Fire Service had ever tackled. The Trading Standards Institute guidance for the lanterns to go out before they land is backed by the government. In sport, Villa faced Newcastle in the early kick-off today. Paul Lambert's side only managed 6 home league wins last season, something the Villa boss says isn't good enough. Elsewhere in the Premiership, the Baggies face Southampton today. In the Championship, Wolves take on Cardiff City at Molineux, having already beaten the other 2 teams that came down from the Premier League last season, Norwich and Fulham. Birmingham City take on newly promoted Brentford at Griffin Park. That's live on BBC WM's DAB digital service. And it's the T20 County Cricket Finals at Edgbaston today. Warwickshire, or the Birmingham Bears, take on Surrey in the first of the semi-finals from 11 o'clock this morning. Looking at the weather, patchy cloud and sunshine for the rest of the morning. A few isolated showers coming in this afternoon. Highs of 18 Celsius, that's 64 Fahrenheit. It'll be dry, clear and chilly tonight with lows of 3 Celsius, 37 Fahrenheit. And a cold start tomorrow. Plenty of early sunshine but cloudy in the afternoon. Highs of 18 Celsius, that's 64 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning. That first hour flew by. Thank you so much. Lots of great calls. Lots more to talk about in this hour of the show. We're going to carry on talking about religion. I love your phone calls on downloading things illegally. You've done it, haven't you? You've downloaded the In-Betweeners too. You've done it. You've gone and downloaded the new, tries to think of a hip band, Kaiser Chiefs album, haven't you? Is the music industry really suffering as a result of that? Give us your calls on that. We'll take your calls on religion, kids drinking. And this ice bucket thing. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Just the ice buckets. I've been away. OK, and I come back and there's this ice bucket phenomenon. You probably know more about it than I do. It's to promote... what is it promoting? It's a charity. And I know that another charity has apparently hijacked it and there's a furore around it. Basically, people nominate other people to have a bucket of ice chucked over their heads. Really? Well, guess what, guys? I've been nominated loads of times. And here's the zinger. I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, your honest reaction, please. Normally I ask you to get your knee-jerk reaction and put it to one side. I want your knee-jerk reaction on this. I am not going to take part in the ice bucket challenge. I am not going to have a bucket of ice tossed over me. Neither is President Obama. I've got better things to do with my time. Does that make me a right miserable old git? Does it? Does it make me a Scrooge? Does that make me a horrible person for not wanting to do that? So many times I've been said, hey, Iain, you should run the London Marathon and be sponsored for... No, not going to happen. I need to look at my support for charities, because I've not done stuff for a while in terms of giving money, and I was thinking on holiday, I should have a little look at some charities and maybe pass a little bit of my good fortune their way. But the Ice Bucket Challenge? Really? Your knee-jerk reaction, and if you want to phone up and have a pop, I'll sit here and listen. 03453 00 9956. Am I a horrible, soulless person for not wanting to get involved in this nonsense? It is nonsense. Come on, guys. I don't want to see... I've had so many people nominating me on Twitter. Flipping it. No, I'm not going to do it. 03453 00 9956. Does that make me horrible? Or does that just make me a bit sensible? Does it show that we've kind of got tired of all of these stunts? These stunts. 03453 00 9956. We'll talk about illegal downloading of films in a bit. We've been talking about imposing your religion on other people or others doing it to you. 11,000 Jehovah's Witnesses congregating in Birmingham. They, of course, famously knock on people's doors to... that's kind of what they do. That one of their beliefs is they have to bear witness. They have to go and tell you about it and try and convert you. I don't dig it. I don't like the people who stand in Birmingham city centre or anywhere else with their megaphones or their microphones, whatever religion it may be. And here's the biggest imposition, and what a surprise, we've had no calls that are able to defend it. The circumcision of young boys for religious purposes. My 2-year-old, when he was 18 months, he's 2.5, about a year ago, had to be circumcised for medical purposes, actual medical purposes. It really upset me. It really, really upset me. And I looked it up online, and I spoke to my wife, and I spoke to the doctor, and the doctor said, you don't have to, but we strongly recommend it to stop him getting infections. He was getting bladder infections. So we did it. And even now, when I'm giving him a bath, I feel a little bit guilty. 03453 00 9956. Samuel from Great Bar. Good morning, Samuel.
Good morning, Iain.
What would you like to say?
I was reflecting on this idea of imposing one's beliefs on other people. And I'm a Christian, and I reflected on ways over the years that I have done that. Mm-hmm. When I was 17, 18, I stood on a street corner and read from the Bible and preached the Christian gospel. More recently, 20 years ago, I was with a church where I used to actually fold and deliver monthly newsletters from the church to, 200 or 300 houses in the neighbourhood. And I look back now and I share your view about people in the city centre where they've got the loudspeakers and so on. I find often that it seems unintelligible. I can't understand what they're saying, and often it's a bit too loud. I don't object to people who stand on street corners, but I think that if it's getting in your way and preventing you from doing what you want to do, then it's questionable. But going back to the magazines, and I might jump around a little bit, I am against that idea to a large extent now. We get lots of junk mail come through our letterbox, and people have a free will. They're entitled to believe that the the magazines that I used to deliver were to them young male. The other thing, and that's my stance to a large extent now, but the other thing is people sometimes say, well, somebody who's housebound or whatever, they might pick up something and find it a help and encouragement in their life. So it's not as straightforward as black and white.
But people know about religion. People know about religion. A leaflet that they get through the door, a knock on the door, someone reading out the Bible on the corner of a high street, that's not going to convert anybody. They're going to go, hey, what's this? I've never heard this before. Jesus, you say? Oh, I'm in.
Well, I think a lot of people more recently have not grown up, say, in going to Sunday school and so on. So some who have grown up in an atheistic or humanistic background, they may find the message that is given to them, they may find it interesting. My other thought was about the Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on people's doors.
Yeah.
Now, I don't agree with this in principle. And I think a Roman Catholic chap also, I didn't realise this, said that he went and knocked on doors.
Yeah, he did a bit of that.
Now, my problem with that is this, that there can be a busy person looking after a family, cooking, and somebody comes to the door, and they won't quickly say sorry to trouble you. Or I've been sick and been woken up to go to the door.
Oh, man, when I'm working earlies or lates or a night shift and someone knocks on the door at 11 o'clock in the morning and I've just got to sleep, that is awful.
And that's why I now... a friend of mine is a Jehovah's Witness, one of the people I regard as most sincere people I've known. But I do personally appreciate what Jehovah's Witnesses, are doing more recently, and it seems to be that they're standing out with their stalls at different places in the city centre and elsewhere.
Samuel, have you noticed, and I don't ask this question flippantly, I genuinely think this might be a marketing tool, and I'm sorry if it offends anyone. Have you noticed that Jehovah's Witnesses have got better looking, both the men and women? Or is that just me?
Well, I hadn't particularly. I mean, when I look in the mirror in the morning, that's not happening for me. But no, I hadn't really noticed that.
All right, Sam, listen, keep your eye out for it. I'm sure, and I don't mean this to be flippant. Thank you, Sam. I don't mean this to be flippant or offensive. This struck me about 3-4 years ago that someone had obviously, some marketing people had got in touch with the Jehovah's Witnesses and said, don't be rude, you're sending the wrong people out. You send out hot women and really good-looking guys, I think you'll get a better strike rate. That's happened, hasn't it? That's happened. 03453 009956. Kumar's on the line. Morning, Kumar.
Morning, Iain.
What you got for us?
I just want to say, if you are thirsty, you will go to source, water will not come to you. So, if you are interested in any religion or anything, you will go towards that thing. Nobody should impose on that thing on you.
What religion, if any, are you, Kumar?
I'm a Hindu.
Right, so Hindus are Sikhs, yeah?
Yeah.
OK, my knowledge of Sikhism and Hinduism is a little bit shaky. Who do you pray to?
I just pray to, God.
That was straightforward. And is it just one kind of overall God you've got, or have you got loads of different ones?
Actually, it's one God, but you can, it depends on your emotion, how you see the God.
Ah, so the God has different forms.
Actually, God is one, what Hinduism says, but it's in many forms, and it's in endless forms. So it depends on you, your feeling or your thought.
Aye.
How do you see the God? You can see, God in next neighbor to you.
Is the elephant God one of yours?
Yes.
Which one's that? That's not Vishnu, is it?
No, it's Ganesha.
Ganesha. And what does Vishnu look like?
Vishnu do look like a guy, looking with a blue-colored guy with 4 arms.
Love it. I love it because, with the greatest respect, that is bonkers, isn't it? That is a bonkers image to have. But that makes it a bit more interesting and a bit more exciting than some old guy with a big white beard on a cloud.
Definitely. What we think, in Hinduism, we don't criticize any other religion. We say, all the rivers meet to ocean. The same way, you can take any way, but you should not saying your way is wrong way or my way is supreme, highway. It depends on you which way you mind, because every way goes to end. Even like, you are a humanitarian, or you are like, if you're a non-believer or whatever. It's not about believing. It's like what the Hindu religion is all about is doing good things, good deeds. It's, there is no such thing called Hindu religion.
We talk very quickly, we're running out of time, but
there is no such called, Hindu religion. There is only things dharma. Dharma means, the right path. So either you can be on right path, either you can be on wrong path. The right path is
Kumar,
like, you are following traffic rules.
Kumar, in 30 seconds, we're running out of time. You talk about not imposing your religion on other people, but you do impose it on your kids, don't you? Your boys, for example, I don't know what the correct term is. We used to call them top knots when I was a little boy at school. Okay. Your boys are encouraged to grow their hair long and be prepared for turbans, aren't they? So there is an indoctrination going on there.
No, it's not. It can't be imposed. Like, it depends on your will. Like, as a Hindu, it depends on me if I want to go to temple or if I want to pray.
But a 9-year-old boy doesn't have a choice as to whether he cuts his hair or not. His parents decide that for him.
Yeah, definitely. They think that's the right thing for them. But, like, if kids grow, like, they have their own choice. But, like, it depends on parents. Like, you can't say, like, all the parents are same. But, like, some parents do tell them, okay, this is this. And we are, because they follow blindly. There is no such thing, in any religion. Like, I would say in my religion, we should not follow blindly. There should be reasoning.
Kumar, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Where are we now? 10:16. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz.
Thank you, Ian. We're just getting word of problems in Birmingham on Great Charles Street and Newell Street Junction. A car has apparently broken down there and it is causing some congestion. In the Edgbaston area of Birmingham, Edgbaston Road and Pershaw Road, all around the cricket ground, looking very slow going now. The T20 finals are taking place today at the cricket ground. Play gets underway at 11 o'clock. Busy on the A38 around Priory Road as well as you head towards the Belgrave interchange close by. We are getting reports of some sort of traffic problem on the M42 north again at 3A. That's the M40 interchange. Police are currently en route to reports that there's a motorist driving on the wrong side of the carriageway, so be very careful around there if that's something you spot going along. Your match day travel sees Baggies fans heading to Southampton for this afternoon's game. At the M40, no problems to report. That's looking okay going south. The A34 and the M3 also trouble-free, and no instances reported on the M25 or the M4 as Blues fans head to Brentford for their game this afternoon. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Hunted. 3 hours, 5 clues to find one person in the West Midlands.
I never imagined for a moment that these words would be uttered from my mouth, but it's a pleasure to hear from your voice.
Ah, the return of the prodigal Wilford.
Here I am, just in time, I think. Hello. Yeah.
Would you like to start to crow now, voice?
The favourite bit of the show.
Hunted. This Sunday morning from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
Gosh, Rooney, we're flying past this morning. I need to flag up again at 11 o'clock. If you're listening on DAB, well, there's going to be trouble. I say trouble, there'll be cricket. I don't know very much about cricket, hence me stumbling. From 11 o'clock, there'll be live coverage of the T20 Blast semi-final between the Birmingham Bears and Surrey. That's going to happen at 11. So if you're listening on DAB, you'll get cricket. If you're listening on proper old-fashioned radio, the F and indeed the M, then you'll carry on getting this nonsense. Choice is yours, guys. We're talking about religion, imposing on other people. 03453 009956. This is because there are going to be 11,000 Jehovah's Witnesses in Birmingham this weekend. Julie's on the line. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
What would you like to say?
Just a couple of points that you're repeating on your programme about the Jehovah's Witnesses getting better looking. My mum's a Jehovah's Witness and has been for the last 50 years. And she does go and knock on people's doors. And she's obviously not got better looking as she's gotten older.
Why would you say that?
Pardon?
Why would you say she's obviously not got better looking as she's got older? My mum's got more beautiful every day.
Well, she's not as you're depicting that they're younger and better looking.
I don't think I said younger.
She's a lovely lady, and she
I
goes
didn't say
with a
younger.
glad heart. Pardon?
Yeah, I didn't say younger. I said better looking.
Better looking.
Yeah.
Well, she's like a bottle of wine. She's matured well, but
beautiful. I'm sure she has.
Yes, and also a caller earlier said about that it was a money-making machine. They don't actually charge for the literature that they give out. I just wanted to clear that point up as well.
How do they sustain themselves financially?
I don't know. It's not something that I discuss with her very often. I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness myself.
Why did you walk away from that?
Why did I walk away? It wasn't for me. I was able to make an informed choice. My mum took me and my sister and my brother along as we were growing up, as most parents do. If you're going to church on Sunday and you're a youngster and you can't stay at home because you're underage, you accompany your parents to whatever. And when I was old enough, it was my choice. I didn't want to continue with it. So it's not forced upon you. You are able to make a choice of your own. And all of myself and my siblings have walked away from it. So we weren't indoctrinated. We were able to make an informed choice.
OK. The thing about making money, they give away the materials for free, but, of course, the people who... I don't know what the correct term is for people who are Jehovah's Witnesses anyway. They are encouraged to give big donations for services, and also they encourage their members to leave their estates to the Watchtower organisation. That doesn't sound particularly
not
good.
Quite
if that's
sure
the case.
that you've got that right either. Maybe you ought to get the gentleman on, the elder that was at the top of the show.
I've literally just Googled it.
And ask him that sort of question, because that's not something... My mum's made a will, and I know that her estate's not being left to Jehovah's Witnesses.
I've just Googled it. The Watchtower Corporation has many different ways of making money. First, they encourage their members to give to the worldwide preaching work. It's their privilege and their obligation to give all their support to God's kingdom. That means their time, their energy and their money. Secondly, they encourage their members to leave their estates to the Watchtower organisation to help further the preaching work rather than leaving money to their families.
Well, I'm not privy to that information. I don't know. That's not something, because I was growing up, and I did leave about the age of 25. And that's not something that I ever came across when I sat in their meetings that took place 3 times a week.
They also hold stock in various companies, including tobacco companies, apparently. Let's put it out there. We'll put it out there, Julie, and see if anybody knows better than us. Thank you very much indeed. I say I just Googled it, so, hey, it came from the internet. Always best to take everything with a huge pinch of salt when you find it on the internet. How do the Jehovah's Witnesses make money? Please, 03453 009956. This is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Got some emails that I'll do in a bit. Still looking for your calls, please, on illegally downloading films and music. I know, it's a tough one, isn't it? I'm asking you to phone up and say, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I break the law. But I know lots of people don't consider downloading films for free, downloading albums, they don't consider it illegal. It is. I mean, it's stealing, but you haven't got something physical. It's not like walking into Our Price Records, and picking up a CD or a DVD, where you've got something physical, something tangible. What you've got is a series of ones and zeros on your computer, bit of code. So it could be considered slightly different. We're talking about it because there's a fellow who's been sent to prison, I don't know for how long, I'll find out, for uploading The Fast and the Furious 6, an awful film, I'm sure. He went to prison for it. But come on. You've done it, haven't you? In my youth, I'll be honest, in the early days of Tinternet, yeah, I did it. I downloaded some albums, a couple of films. Don't do it now. I buy stuff or I rent stuff. But you may have done it quite recently. How do you view it? Why do you do it? And we heard an expert earlier on in the news with Rob saying that Hollywood is suffering as a direct result of it. Well, is Hollywood suffering? Really? You know, John Cusack seems to be doing all right. I can't think of any... I can't think of any modern actors. I'm so old. Hollywood seems to be doing OK. Rock stars seem to be doing OK. Is it part of the culture now with the internet that we just expect stuff for free? We just expect that we keep it. You know, we should get it and it's free and we don't pay for it and it's fine. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. If you want to give me a call, you can email as well. ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Let's just have a quick look at a couple of emails. David, on the subject of Jehovah's Witnesses. Ian, at least your guest, the Jehovah's Witness, top of the show to you, was honest about Christmas being a pagan festival, but Jesus as a Messiah does not fulfil the Jewish prophecies. I lived in the street for 15 years and I've never seen anyone open the door to a witness. Enforcing religion onto kids is downright child abuse. The reason I'm going to move the curtain away, producer Simon. I'm going to pull the curtain away. The reason I'm stumbling a little bit is I'm reading emails. I'm also being communicated by producer Simon. Producer Joe has had the cheek to go on holiday. And we've got a guest who may or may not be coming up. I think the answer is not coming up. Talk about kids boozing. And I've just got on my message, and I'm not laughing at her at all. Guest has a terrible sore throat. I can barely understand her. And so I'm asking, is it worth keeping her? He's just replied, no, it's not. I'm really sorry to hear that you've got... I'm not laughing at the fact you've got a sore throat. I do that. Whenever I get a cold, the first thing that goes... it's Dr. Sarah Jarvis. The first thing that goes is my voice. And, hey, when this is my living, man alive, it's not good. So, Sarah, I'm really sorry you couldn't come on the show this morning. And I hope your voice gets better, and I hope it's not too painful for you. We can still talk about it. Have a listen to this. Booze. Yeah. Booze. I have not had a drink for 10 years, guys. It'll be 10 years next month. And man alive, my life is so much better as a direct result of it. I used to love a good booze up. Celebrating. There's loads of stories in the papers this week of kids, young people celebrating. Because people are leaving schools after months of hard work, revision, stress. Everything has ended with the A-level results, the GCSE results coming out. But for some of those teens, the celebrations could become a boozy, drunken binge. That's thanks to parents who are willing to supply their kids with up to 9 units of alcohol to take to post-exam parties. It's a study by DrinkAware reveals that more than half of parents give their children an alcoholic drink, with many oblivious to the medical problems underage drinking can cause. Would you give your kids booze? Right now, I would be going to speak to Dr. Sarah Jarvis, but as you know, Dr. Sarah Jarvis has got no voice. Not very good on a radio show. Go well soon, Doctor. I'm trying to think back to when I was 14. I had my first drink. I was 15 years old. I remember it really well. It was at a friend's wedding. I was working in B-Jams, which used to be, which then became Iceland, and there was someone was getting married, and we went to a wedding, and I was quite anti-drink up until then. And I remember saying, do you know what? Tonight I am going to drink, and I am going to get drunk. And everyone was like, oh, we'll have some of this. This could be fun. And I did. I drank so much booze, bitter, lager, spirit, so much booze. And I loved it. I loved it. I remember being driven home and leaning out of the car, going along the Bath Road in Slough, winding down the window and singing Hey, Hey, We're the Monkeys. Very, very loud. And that was it. I was in. You get all these stories, don't you, in the newspapers about binge drinking with kids. 14, 15, 16-year-old binge drinking with kids. But that's not a new phenomenon. I was doing that 26 years ago. And I'm sure my mum was doing it 45 years ago. And I'm sure my grandparents ad infinitum. Teenagers, not all of them, but the majority of teenagers have always experimented with mind-altering substance, whether it's weed or it's speed or it's booze. Now, again, not condoning the illegalities, but I know that at some point my boys will probably try drugs. Oh, well. I hope they don't get too carried away with it, and I hope they realise that actually it's a waste of time and money. They may not. They may not. That's their journey. And they're 4 and 2, so I think we're a good few years off. But young people have always drunked, had booze. Going to parties and you pour half a bottle of Malibu into half a bottle of Coke. What you got in the bottle? Just some Coke. OK, you can bring that in. Shotgunning tinnies, and if you don't know what shotgunning is, it's flipping horrible. Shotgunning tinnies on the way to a party, so there's a bit of a buzz going on. Kids have always drunk booze. Kids have always got drunk and sick in the park on the day of their GCSE results, on the day of their A-level results, on the last day of term. It's always happened. It always will happen. So, what do we do about this? Your personal stories, please, if you wouldn't mind. When did you first have a drink? If you can remember back that far. And when did you first let your kids drink? I remember my dad giving me beer when I was like 6 or 7. I mean, only a sip of it, but... 03453 009956 is the telephone number. We may not have Dr. Sarah Jarvis, but I've got a cracking producer in the guise of producer Simon and also Bernie, who's there as well, who've managed to sort me out another guest. So thank you very much to both of you. We can go to Daniel Collins. Morning, Daniel.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you very much. Now, your story with alcohol is quite tragic. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay, so my brother Simon, he'd always drunk alcohol from quite an early age, actually. Talking sort of, my grandparents were quite big drinkers, so sort of 13, 14 growing up. And then his drinking eventually got out of hand, where he would drink all of the time, to the point where, he'd lie in his own vomit and we'd have to pick him up and clean him up, that sort of thing. But the thing about alcoholism is people can become functional alcoholics, so he could hold down a job. He was leading a relatively normal life. But one day they came to my house to see me, and my other brother said, Simon's in the car, he's drunk again. Can you help me put him to bed? Because he only lives a few doors away from me. So we put him. Well, I looked in the car, and this sudden, overwhelming fear that he'd died suddenly came over me, because his body was lifeless and, as they call it, a dead weight. And in the back of the car, from the journey from the pub to the house, this was 2 days before Christmas, he'd died. He then spent 3 months in hospital, not on a life support machine, just his body kept living because it was so cold outside. He was brain dead, and 3 months later he died of pneumonia.
Oh dear, that's really sad. How old was Simon?
Simon was 22 at the time. But as I say, growing up, my grandparents were big whiskey and brandy drinkers, and they didn't bat an eyelid of giving us a short now and then, even when I was young.
So were you given little shots every now and then when you were, 13, 14?
Yeah. Growing up I was. And looking back, it makes me question why they would do that. But, there's a cultural thing back then of, it's fine to give kids alcohol, it never did me any harm when I was a kid.
Looking back, do you think your grandparents had problems with alcohol?
Yes, very much so. They would drink, in excess of a litre of brandy and whiskey every other day.
Oh, blimey, yes, that is a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's interesting is that you and Simon had the similar situation of being given, shots of booze by your grandparents.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're not an alcoholic?
No.
Do you still drink now?
I drink occasionally.
Right, OK. But you turned out, in inverted commas, all right, and your brother Simon turned out to have an alcohol addiction problem.
Yeah, the complete opposite.
Why do you think that you were both so different?
It's a tough question. I would say, I don't know. I think he takes more after my grandfather than I did. It's different.
I've got friends who are alcoholics. I've got friends who have got clean and sober, and I've got friends who haven't got clean and sober, and hopefully one day they will. And so I've looked into it a lot. and as I said, I don't drink anymore. I mean, there is an argument that it could be genetic, that it could be upbringing, it could be a form of depression. I mean, it's recognised as a disease, so it's certainly not a weakness in your brother. It's just interesting, isn't it, that both of you, from such similar backgrounds, grew up so differently around it.
Well, with the drinking came gambling as well, which was another aversion to I think, addictive personality disorder. And
he didn't like
as you
himself
say,
very much, did he, it sounds like?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
He would drink to forget about the gambling.
Yeah.
And then he'd wake up and think, oh, what have I done? So, go to work for 13, 14 hours, come home. First thing he does, well, I'll have another drink.
Oh, dear.
But he would never drink at work or anything like that. But, when he did drink, he would drink, so much that he'd just pass out and not remember anything.
Well, he really didn't like himself, and it's that cycle of shame, isn't it? You feel shame, so you drink more, you gamble more to forget the shame, and it just ends up making you feel even more shameful.
Exactly. An absolute vicious cycle.
It's horrible. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. None of my friends have yet died as a result of it, but, I can see some people going that way. It's really sad. Go on, sorry.
It's fine. There were times when he would fall over, hit his head massively, there'd be massive lumps on his head. And as sad as this sounds, it was only a matter of time before something happened. And it's that point where we tried to get him into Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. We sent him to the doctors, and the doctors just said, well, your liver seems okay. Here's a leaflet.
Right, yeah, here's a leaflet. Well done.
Yeah, but
you were unlucky with that because... Yeah, some doctors are... I nearly saw then. Some doctors are really hot on that stuff and some are not. And it sounds like you may have lucked out. You made a documentary about alcohol, did you, Daniel?
I did, yes.
What was the kind of theme of that?
I was given the task at university to make a documentary about anything, a 5-minute short. And I instantly knew I wanted to do about binge drinking. So I interviewed a few nurses and a few other people. But then I thought, well, I'm going to talk to my dad. And this was 6 months after the accident. My brother had died at this point, or a year after the accident. And we sat down and we had our first heart-to-heart. And that's what was recorded.
Is this available for people to have a look? Is it on YouTube or something?
It's on SoundCloud. So if you just search for binge drinking, don't do it. It's on there.
Okay. And the reason we're talking about this is because loads of... I'm such an old man. Loads of kids will be having a booze up the last couple of weeks, the coming weeks, because it's summer, their exams are finished, the school is finished. What do you think about young people having a drink?
I mean, they're going to do it regardless, because there is a society now of kids bringing up kids who, the parents are still going out drinking. God, I sound like an old man now. But there are...
How old are you?
I'm only 25, but
no,
I'm 27, sorry.
You're lying already, look at that.
Yeah. But there are kids bringing up kids where they're still going out and sculling beers and drinking to excess. And they shouldn't do it, but they probably are going to do it. And if they're going to do it, they need to be safe. So don't drink to excess and drink lots of water would be...
But 15, 16, 17-year-old, they are going to think you're an old man at 27, and they're not going to listen to you, are they? They're going to do it.
Well, exactly.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
I just, I don't want the same thing happening to somebody else.
Of course you don't. Daniel, listen, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. I'm sorry for your loss, and I shall be listening to your SoundCloud thing over the weekend.
Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Sad, isn't it? Died at 22. Now, is it because he drank at the age of 13? We have to make up a lot of things here, don't we? I would suggest not. I would suggest that because Daniel grew up to have a respect, a fear, I don't know, was able to drink successfully, I would suggest that his brother dying, it was probably something genetic. Possibly something genetic. He had the disease of addiction. It's a disease, guys. There's no way around it. It's like having asthma. It's like having cancer. It's a disease. I'm just trying to get my thoughts straight on this. 03453 009956. When did you have a drink? When was the first time you had a drink? Do you let your kids drink? There is the big argument, isn't there, that the continentals get it right. There is less alcoholism on the continent, we are led to believe. I don't have any stats to back that up or otherwise. Because, the French will have a glass of wine with their lunch and they'll let, the 12-year-olds have a little bit of wine. My sister, I remember having half a glass of wine with a Sunday roast, probably at the age of 12. She never had a problem with booze. Your thoughts on this, please? 03453 009956. Emma's on the line. Morning, Emma.
Good morning.
What would you like to say?
All right, Ian. I think I first started drinking when I was 13.
Right.
And my parents gave me some alcohol. And then I just used to hide it from people, and I used to drink by myself. And now I am an alcoholic. And I think it's hard to give kids alcohol because they think it's a laugh and that, but there are some people are fine and they're all right with alcohol, but they can also be a bad side to it as well.
If parents don't give their, let's say, 15-year-old kids alcohol, they'll find another way of getting it, won't they?
Yeah, and maybe it's safer that way, maybe.
What, if they get it themselves?
No, if the parents do, because then they can monitor it. But, kids will be kids, really, won't they? And they will get alcohol wherever. If the parents say no, then, round by me on a Friday and a Saturday night, they're all drinking.
You say you started drinking at 13. When did you think you realised you had a problem?
I think it was when I was around 21. And then after that, it just got even worse. I've stopped drinking now, but I relapse. And if things get too much on top of me, straight away I will go straight for the alcohol, and I could have it for between 3 to 2 months where I could then start be drinking, and then I'll stop again. I could never go 4 months without drinking.
There'll be people listening. This is why I'm really keen to stress this is a disease, because that is the same as having cancer, is the same as being an asthmatic. It's a disease. And people won't get this. So I'll ask the question that some people... I'll say what I'm sure some people are thinking. You're weak. You're weak that you can't stop drinking. What is it about you that can't stop you?
Because of all my problems that I've had, it goes on. I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, so it means that every day there is something that reminds me of something, and all I want is that pain to go away. And just of that all time, when I drink, it actually goes away. And I know that in the meantime it doesn't help, but when you have, like me, that's got so many problems, you just want some time where you want to shut off.
You just want to switch your head off, don't you? Have a little break from life.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then when you're absolutely drunk, then you go to sleep, and then the next day it happens again until, you haven't got enough money and that, and then I will stop. But it's like, it was only 2 weeks back that I was back on the drink, and I was having vodka and bottles of wine.
Emma, take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Thanks very much for your call. I'm moving on just because of time. By the way, I wasn't saying you were weak, in case you went away hearing me saying you were weak. I'm saying that's what some people might be saying. Not at all. I think you're very brave, and I think you're very strong. And I think you're in a very good position in that you've admitted you've got a problem. It is a disease. This is the thing I don't get when people are really horrible about drug addicts. Hey, man, it's a disease. It's a disease. You know that, don't you? The WHO, not the rock group, the World Health Organization, have acknowledged that addiction is a disease, whether it's gambling, shopping, sex, food, drink or drugs is a disease. People can't stop on their own. Your calls on that, please. 03453 009956. When did you first have a boozy drink, and when did you allow your kids to have a drink? It's 10:45. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel, isn't it? Yes, with Liz.
That's the one. Thank you very much, Ian. As you head to the M42 going south, there's a lane shut, a roof rack in the carriageway, and there seems to have been a fuel spill as well between 3 and 2. That's between the Redditch exits. Traffic's rather heavy going, passing the scene of the closure in lane 1. The other side of the carriageway around 3A, the M40 interchange, the reports of a motorist on the wrong side of the carriageway, that seems to have been sorted out. Still queues and delays in and around Birmingham this morning. The A38 Great Charles Street, Queensway, around Newell Street is queuing from a vehicle which broke down earlier on the outbound side of the carriageway. Although the lane has reopened and the vehicle recovered, it's still rather congested around there. Obviously not helped as well because of the closure of the Queensway tunnels. Slow around Edgbaston this morning, Edgbaston Road, Pershall Road, the A38 as well nearby to the Priory Road junction. Heading towards the cricket ground with the T20 final, so thousands of people expected to see that match, which gets underway in about 15 minutes' time. Around Dudley, it's struggling at the Burnt Tree traffic lights, the junction with the A4123, the A461. Your matchday travel sees West Bromwich fans heading to Southampton. It is a good 3.5-hour journey down the M40 onto the A34 and the M3. No delays or instances reported on those routes. Blues fans going to Brentford for their match this afternoon. The M40, as I say, looking clear, but no delays reported on either the M25 or the M4. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Iain Lee
on BBC WM
95.6. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
I tell you why I love doing this show, because we are all over the shop. We're going to talk about swearing in a minute and swearing on television. I think there should be more of it. We'll get your thoughts on that. Quick little recap of where we've been and where we're going. Religion, imposing religion on people, kids, boozing. This ice bucket challenge, where people are encouraged to pour a bucket of ice and ice water over themselves. Oh, I've been nominated and I've said no. Well, I haven't said no, I'm saying no now. I'm not going to do it. Seems a ridiculous thing to do. Does that make me an old miser? An old Scrooge? Because I don't want to have a bucket of ice tipped over me for charity? I hate... How can I phrase this without sounding like an idiot? I don't hate charity. I like charity. I think charity is great. I hate doing silly stunts for charity. I write you a cheque. I'll go on telly and donate my fee, or I'll win. I won 20 grand for MS on the weakest link. £20,000. I beat Jim Bowen in the final. We all voted Bernard Manning off first. He was horrible. Anyway, I don't mind doing stuff like that, but I don't want to, it's the equivalent of sitting in a bath of baked beans, isn't it? 03453 009956. Yeah, I was on the weakest link. Can I tell you my weakest link story? I cheated. I know. I cheated on the weakest link. This is... Right, at the end, right, it was me, Eddie Large, and Jim Bowen, right? And I had voted for Jim Bowen, and I could see what Eddie Large was writing. Eddie Large was writing my name. So I then changed who I'd voted for, and I changed it to Eddie Large, and I had to keep my fingers crossed that Bowen had also voted for Large. He had. He got bumped off. I got through to the final. I won £20,000. Well, I've just been told that Alex, who's fiddling with my knobs this morning, has also been on the weakest link. It's good, that, isn't it? She's good. What's her name? Anne Robinson. Anyway, if you've been on the weakest link, you can give us a call and join the club. 03453 009956. A local fella has. Are we going to do the phone call first, or do you want to do swearing? I'm happy to go any which way but loose. Let's do the swearing first. OK, we'll do that. I am a huge, huge fan of Monty Python, and I was lucky enough to go and see them at the O2. When was it, last month? Have a bit of this.
I wish to complain about this parrot what I purchased not half an hour ago from this very boutique.
Oh, yes, the Norwegian blue. What's wrong with it?
I'll tell you what's wrong with it. It's dead. That's what's wrong with it.
No, it's resting, look.
Look, my lad, I know a dead parrot when I see one, and I'm looking at one right now.
No, it's not dead, it's resting.
Resting?
Yeah.
Hello, Polly! Polly! Polly Parrot, wake up! Now, that's what I call a dead parrot.
Now, I love it. I love it. I love Monty Python. And what a lot of people don't know is when you go and see them live, they are filthy. I mean, filthy. They drop all of the bombs. And Monty Python hit the headlines this week. It was shown on... their live show was shown... Was it shown on Gold or Dave or one of those channels like that? They received... Ofcom received 34 complaints about the screening of Monty Python on Gold. It was Gold, wasn't it? Because there was a lack of swearing. They got rid of all the swearing. The programme was broadcast before this mythical 9 p.m. watershed, and it prompted some viewers to object to the amount it had been censored. So, simple question to you. Is it ever appropriate to swear? I know the answer. I know the answer to this, and I'm hoping you know the same answer. 03453 009956. All I will say is, Alex, who is controlling the faders, just keep your fingers on the faders, please. Pete Silverton is the author of Filthy English, The How, When, Why and What of Swearing. Morning, Peter.
Morning, Ian.
A well-timed S-bomb or an F-bomb can be fantastic, can't it?
Absolutely. People have always sworn throughout history, everywhere in the world, we wouldn't continue doing something that wasn't important and not to mention fun.
Where does the power come from? Because they are just words, you know, but there are some words that have got so much power to them. Well, how does that happen?
I think it's very noticeable that wherever it is in the world, there's a limited number of subjects that people use for swearing. The most obvious one is sexuality. The second one is the bits and fluids that come out of our body. That's another strong one. And then the other two are religion and race, particularly in terms of words being unacceptable, as we see in the paper this morning with the football manager, Malcolm Mackay, where his use of offensive language. I mean, not that I know exactly what he said, but I'm certain that that's what upset people.
And what is it? Again, this is not an encouragement anyone to phone up and swear, so please don't. Let's have the history. What's the history of the F word? Why? Where did that come from, and why is it so naughty?
It came into English just around the time of Shakespeare. In fact, the first joke in the English language that I know of, a pun on the word, is there in Shakespeare, and it's used. It's a marriage with the French queen. It's a very clever little pun, which you notice, along with other sexual puns in Shakespeare. Why is its power? Because it's a very intimate part of our life, and therefore it has a kind of secret power for us. And swearing works from a different part of the brain to most of what we say. So there's the logical, intelligent stuff we say, and then there's the deep buried emotions which represent almost the kind of animal-like part of ourselves.
And everyone swears, don't they? There are people who say they never do, but if you bash your thumb with a hammer or if you whack your knee on a coffee table, the odds are an expletive is going to come out.
Absolutely. Now, some people will use what philologists call minced oaths. Actually, you replace like Ned Flanders on the Simpsons show.
Yeah.
A classic example. He uses all these strange words like fiddlesticks, and that represents a word behind it. We all know the word that it represents, but the very strange thing is that they do tests. They've done scientific tests to see how effective it is if you use the replacement word, where they get people to stick their hands in buckets of ice water, and then if they shout the real swear word out, they don't hurt as much as if they it doesn't hurt so much to them as if they shout the imaginary swear word out. So
Peter,
the real thing is the thing that really matters to us, even though we know the replacement is representation of the real thing.
Peter, I don't know if you've moved, but you've suddenly got a little bit quiet. Have you moved away from your phone?
I haven't, but I'm going to move a bit and see if it
there
gets
we go.
better.
Perfect, that's it. Don't move from there. And you're right about it's sex and its bodily functions. My boys are 4 and 2. They don't know any swear words yet. But if they want to insult me, they will call me a stinky poo-poo or a big fat bum-bum. And that to them that's them swearing. Those are the worst words they know. And it's interesting, isn't it, that even at that age, we naturally resort to bodily functions as an insult.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know how important it is. I mean, all that stuff is incredibly important to small children anyway. I mean, there's not a small child who doesn't talk about their poo. You know, it's a basic topic of conversation in the nursery school.
Yeah.
It's what as men talk about football, it's what toddlers talk about.
And it's so funny because, you know, my boys will be properly angry. You stinky poo-poo. And I've got to do my best to be the responsible dad and say, now, come on, boys, we don't use language like that. But, of course, inside, I'm laughing out loud.
Yeah, I must admit, I was a more liberal father than you.
Oh, well, I've got a posh wife, so I can't... OK, let's tread around this very, very carefully. The C-bomb, where does that power come from? Because I even have to hesitate alluding to it on the radio because some people will be offended that I've said that much.
Yeah, and it's a really weird one, this, because in French, exactly the same word doesn't have anything like the power. So there's a very, very famous French film which has that word in the title of the film, and it just means idiot in French. But it's what it refers to. There's no doubt about that.
In America, it's still really... Here, it's kind of a bit more acceptable than it was 10 years ago. But in America, they detest that word, don't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, to go back to your use of the word posh, the posh American media, the newspapers and so on, are much more restrictive than we are in England. I mean, the New York Times, for example, won't print the word bitch. Instead of bitch, it writes the derogatory word for women, which rhymes with the word witch. I'm not kidding. They really do write that whole sentence every time they want to do it. I mean, American culture has always been very split between the very, very ultra-liberal on the one hand and the restrictive and religious on the other side. And that battle has always been much stronger in America than England. We're just kind of nicely wishy-washy about it. But we're much stricter about swearing on radio than we are on television because of the intimacy of the media where, you know, everybody feels it's coming straight into their ear.
Peter, listen, the line's got a bit wonky, but it's coincided with us kind of running out of time, so I appreciate that. Peter Silverton, the author of Filthy English, The How, When, Why and What of Swearing. Swearing's fun, right? Isn't it? And again, don't. But it's fun. Really careful, I don't swear in front of my kids. I swore under my breath with my kids the other day, and they didn't hear it, and I felt really bad. Don't swear in front of my kids. I did once. Right, I did once. We're in the car, me and the kids, and I kind of forgot they were there. And I got cut up really badly. And I said something, and my little boy said, "Daddy, what does that mean?" I said, "It's a male hen." I got out of that one. But you've got to be careful. But I think there should be more swearing on television. And it's weird. And the 9 o'clock watershed is such an old-fashioned concept now, because TV is so fluid. When we watch television, you know, kids used to be in bed at 9 o'clock and there was no way of them watching it. Well, then videos became invented and it was a little bit easier for kids to watch later things. And now you can Sky Plus it or you watch it on iPlayer. Do you know how they age restrict the programmes on iPlayer? You get asked, are you over 18? Yes? OK, you can watch it. So the watershed on television is such an old-fashioned concept. Let's bring swearing into EastEnders. Hey, you want to get a bit political? They show dead bodies on the news. They don't show somebody saying the F word on EastEnders. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. Your thoughts? We're covering all the basic sins this morning. It's kind of a religious feel, imposing your religion on kids, forced circumcision on kids, drinking for kids, swearing for kids. 03453 009956. And also coming up, do you think that paying to park in hospitals is a little bit of a rip-off? Well, you're not alone.
We've full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online. bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's bang on 11 o'clock. Let's get the news now. Here's Rob Mayer.
Good morning. The Home Secretary, Theresa May, is considering banning extremist groups even if they're not directly involved in terrorism. Writing in the Daily Telegraph, Mrs May says she's pressing ahead with measures to tackle extremism, including restricting the activities of people who try to radicalise others. Zubaydah Limbadas from Connect Justice, which offers independent expertise on counter-terror. She says ministers should do more than just bolstering the law.
There's an emphasis on reassuring people, and I think the emphasis should also equally shift to addressing what is happening here. How do kind of British Muslims feel, both in terms of discussing foreign policy? One of the things that we're finding post-Gaza as well is where are the safe spaces for young people to discuss foreign policy?
Public Health England say an egg farm in Europe is probably the source of a salmonella outbreak which affected nearly 250 people, more than 50 of them in the West Midlands. 3 patients affected at Heartlands Hospital in Birmingham died, but the infection wasn't the direct cause. The new Police and Crime Commissioner for the West Midlands has told BBC WM he does have a mandate for the role despite very low voter turnout. The vote was triggered by the death of the previous PCC, Bob Jones. Only 10% of those eligible to cast a ballot did so, but David Jameson says that still means he achieved more than 100,000 votes.
I didn't create this situation. I didn't create the law. Because of the very sad death of Bob Jones, I stepped in as a candidate to do the job. Somebody's got to do the job. There is a big budget. It's a £540 million budget that's got to be spent on behalf of the people of the West Midlands to make sure their homes are safe and their streets are safe. And that's the job I'm going to do.
A Walsall man who's been jailed for almost 3 years after illegally uploading the film Fast and Furious 6 online received a lengthy sentence because of damage done to the film industry. That's according to the man who investigated the case. 25-year-old Philip Dank's recording of a cinema screening was watched more than 700,000 times. Simon Browns from the Federation Against Copyright Theft.
What we have to consider here is the economic loss, and certainly potential economic loss to the industry, which has further ongoing implications for the economy in Britain. You know, a lot of people work in the film industry, thousands and thousands of people work on films like this, and they are affected by losses caused by this type of piracy.
And 13 children have been treated for the suspected effects of fume inhalation after falling ill on a bus trip organised by a church group in Birmingham. It happened last night near Shrewsbury. None of the children needed hospital treatment. The coach has been seized for examination by police, and the health and safety executive have been informed. In sport, Aston Villa new boy Carlos Sanchez is likely to be involved in today's game against Newcastle. The Colombian could make his debut for Paul Lambert's side in the lunchtime kick-off at 12:45. Albion's new boy, Georgios Samaras, isn't available for the Baggies game at Southampton, though. That game is live on BBC WM 95.6 this afternoon. All the build-up starts at 2. Elsewhere, Wolves are at home to Cardiff. Blues travel to Brentford. Those games are on BBC WM's DAB services in Wolverhampton and Birmingham. We'll also have FM updates from Walsall's trip to Leyton Orient. And in cricket, it's T20 finals day at Edgbaston. The Birmingham Bears face Surrey in the first of the semi-finals, which is about to get underway. If the Bears progress to the final, that'll be live on BBC WM. Looking at the weather, patchy cloud and sunshine this morning, 1 or 2 isolated showers this afternoon, and highs of 18 Celsius. That's 64 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
And suddenly it's 4 minutes past 11. If I'm honest, The show has flown by today. Flown by. Thank you so much. Still 56 minutes of the show before, I think it's Daz on at midday, isn't it? Yes. So still 56 minutes if you want to give us a call. What are we talking about? Well, youngsters boozing, downloading illegally downloading films and music, and swearing. Coming up as well, hospital parking charges. Some hospitals, it is, let's be honest, a rip-off to parking. Your stories about that, please. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Interestingly, we haven't had any calls, as far as I'm aware, certainly none that have come to air, about this ice bucket challenge. Maybe you're unaware of it. I was blissfully unaware of it because I was away on holiday for a few days. I surprised my boys. My family are away in Greece, and I surprised my boys by just popping out there for a few days. Oh, the look on their faces! The look on their... Wonderful. My 2.5-year-old couldn't speak for 30 minutes. Just sat there cuddling me. Wonderful. It did get annoying. We played a lot of mini-golf, and... Listen, guys, I don't care how old you are, 4.5, 2.5, you are old enough to appreciate, understand, and indeed respect the rules of mini-golf. Really annoying. They weren't playing by the rules of mini-golf. I did. I was such a bad dad. On the 7th hole of the first evening, I did say, right, guys, you're not playing by the rules. I'm going to go and sit and have a drink. You let me know when you're ready to play by the rules. And I stormed off. They were sitting on the hole and stopping my ball. I've stopped your ball, Daddy. I'm just trying to help you. How is that helping? It was going towards the hole, guys. Going towards the hole. You've got to play mini-golf, you've got to play it properly. Anyway, enough of that. I'm not quite sure why I went on that tangent. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. On the subject of swearing, Carol's in Birmingham. Morning, Carol.
Morning.
Have you got a potty mouth?
Hang on a minute. Who was acting like the 2-year-old? At the mini-golf?
No, they were not...
You were acting like a 2-year-old because you stormed off.
No, Carol, they were not respecting the rules of mini-golf. I'd take a shot and then they'd stop the ball.
And then you stamped your foot and you stormed off and went, I'm not playing anymore.
Do you know what? There was a bit... I did go and sit at the bar and have an orange juice. And I sat there and like... Yeah, I had a milkshake. I was sat there and I thought... What the hell have I just done? I'm 41 years old. They're 4 and 2.
And you just stormed off and had a tantrum.
I had a little strop. I did have a little strop, yes. They were annoying me, little so-and-sos.
Well, they're allowed
anyway,
to.
Yeah, they are. I won't see them for 2 weeks now. It's the longest I've been without them. I miss them terribly.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, they're having a great time, but I miss them. Anyway, go on. I bet you've got a right potty mouth, haven't you?
I grew up in an Irish household.
Oh, OK, there we go, yes.
So, swearing wasn't rude. It was just part and parcel of conversation.
It's just what happened.
But we weren't allowed to as children.
Oh.
So, if you couldn't... You know the F word?
I know the F word, yeah, I know.
If you put an E in it...
OK, like Father Ted?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was acceptable. But with the U
Isn't
in
that
it
funny?
wasn't.
Because you know that that's what the word is. You just changed it a little bit.
Yeah. And even now you go down and speak, you go down and see my dad, and it's like and my children go down, and I say to the kids, don't repeat it. But they don't. To be fair to them, they don't. But it's like, it's part of conversation. It's not meant in anger or disrespect. When swearing comes into anger and disrespect, that's when it's wrong.
That's an interesting separation of it. Yeah, you're right. When it is being used aggressively, disrespectfully, or out of anger...
Yeah.
Yeah, then that's when its meaning kind of changes.
If you go... You know, if you're having a conversation with friends and someone says something, off...
Yeah.
And that's just in jovial conversation. If you're in a situation and someone goes, oh, off, then that's different. It's how you perceive the language.
I remember the first time I tested the swearing boundaries with my mum, right? And I'd seen my sister do this, a few months before, and I thought, OK, right. And I remember we were getting into the car, and I said, excuse me, dear listener, I said, oh, Jesus.
Oh.
And she... Yeah, I know, and I apologise. Yeah, I know, I apologise I've offended people. I'm sorry, I'm just putting it in context, and maybe I shouldn't have said that, actually, so I'm sorry. But she gave me this... I was 14, I remember it so well. She gave me this look as if to say, I wish you hadn't done that, but you're kind of out of my control now. She knew that we'd crossed a line in our relationship.
Yeah. My son is 18, and he'll come down and he'll say, where's the breakfast? And I'll go, do it yourself. In a jovial way.
Yeah.
But if he came downstairs and said, where's my breakfast, I'd punch his lights out.
Carol, thank you very much. He will do. Maybe I shouldn't have said the J word. I'm sorry if you were offended by that. It's weird, isn't it? There are some words that are definite no-nos, and there are some words where it's not quite so definite. It's a little bit grey. And there are some words I've got two meanings. If I say I've got a bloody arm, that's fine. If I say I've got a bloody arm, it's weird, isn't it? Language is so weird. And it would be great if we could take the power out of some of these words, but I guess we never will. 03453 0099 56. Chris is in Walsall. Chris, you've got a couple of points you want to make. Go on.
Morning, Iain. You're all right,
Morning. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, you sore loser. I bet you was cursing and swearing a little bit under your breath when your kids beat you at golf, weren't you?
No, listen, they were not beating me at golf, right? We had to fix it so that they came first and second when I totally would have destroyed them. But I've got a real thing about playing games. If you're going to play games, you've got to play by the rules, and they were not respecting the rules.
Yeah, you was having a little tantrum, wasn't you? I bet you was cussing them as you walked into the club to have your orange juice.
I did cuss them as I walked away. Isn't that terrible? I'm a bad father. Oh, man. Go on, what you got?
These DVDs. And
oh, yeah,
the
yeah, go on, illegally downloading films and music. You ever done it?
I'll get my son to do mine, because I don't know my way around a computer like he does. So I'll get my son to do mine for me.
I just have to say, for a BBC point of view, I'm sure you can understand, we don't condone this, we don't encourage or endorse it. I have asked people to phone up and be honest. Well, OK, what was the last film you downloaded?
I can't remember what the last film was. What I was going to say is, they download them for themselves. What I don't like is these people who download film free of charge, go to one of these cheap pound shops, buy a wacky load of DVD recordable discs, copy them, and then stand on the corners or outside these Sunday markets, flogging them off for a £5 each, because you don't know what sort of copy you're going to get. If you download a copy, if you download it yourself onto your computer, and it's a rubbish copy, and it's all ghosting and it's blurred and whatever, then that's your problem.
I'm laughing, Chris. I'm laughing because you're not complaining about the illegality of people doing this, and we've all seen hooky DVD sellers at car boot sales. You're complaining about the quality of the film that you might be getting.
Well, yeah, because you've got no comeback on it ever. You can't go back to them the following week and say, "Oh, this is absolutely rubbish." They're going to say, "Well, tough, you bought it." But if you download it yourself and it's rubbish, and it's a rubbish, you can't see the film properly or anything, or it's out of sync with the voices or anything. Yeah. Then you just wipe it off, don't you? And you just go and find another one.
I have to put
if you're selling them to somebody, then I think that's totally wrong.
But hang on a minute, because you're the equivalent here is if you're buying it off someone who's selling it on a street corner, you're handling stolen goods. Your son downloading the films, he's actually stealing. He's the thief.
Well, yeah, I suppose he is really, yeah.
And that's all right, is it, for your son? You to encourage your son to be a thief?
Well, he's not actually stealing because he's up on the internet, isn't it?
But he's stealing it. He is taking whatever the cost of a DVD. He's taking £10 out of Hollywood's pocket. He's stealing property that's not his.
Well, I don't think they're going to miss £10, really, are they?
But it's accumulative, isn't it? If there are a number of people doing it, which we know there are. Yeah. Do you think it's all right to steal from Hollywood because it's a massive multi-million-dollar industry?
Well, I don't think stealing's right anyway, but...
But you're encouraging your son to do it?
It's that grey area, isn't it? there's a fine line for it. I mean, if it's somebody's uploaded it onto the internet, and it's free for you to download, then what's to stop people downloading it?
It's interesting you say it's a grey area, because I know that there are some... I've got friends who work in films. My friends wrote the In-Betweeners film, and I know that they would see it differently. They would see it as someone taking something out of their... taking cash out of their back pocket. You don't see it like that at all?
It's the person who's uploaded it onto the internet. But if they've put it up there and it's free of charge, then people are going to download it, aren't they? But if people upload it onto the internet and say, you've got to pay a $5 for it, nobody's going to pay it.
Listen, I asked you to be honest, Chris, and you have been. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that. I've got to say, because this is the BBC, don't encourage it, I don't endorse it, but I have asked you to call in and be honest about illegally downloading films and albums, and I thought what was brilliant about Chris's point there, talking about people and when I was on holiday, there was a fella walking around the beach selling, hooky DVDs. He's not upset about the person selling the hooky DVDs. He's upset that the quality might not be very good. Your thoughts on that, please? And is it stealing? He said there's a grey area. In my head, there isn't a grey area, but maybe I've got it wrong. If someone posts, let's say, the In-Betweeners online and you can download it, are you the thief? Are you handling stolen goods, or are you an innocent party? 03453 009956. It's 11:16. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel with Liz.
Thanks, Ian. The M42 going south, the lane has reopened, the fuel spill has been mopped up and the roof rack cleared off the carriageway between 3 and 2. That's between the Redditch exits. Traffic is looking a little bit better. Further back, though, on the southbound carriageway, 4 to 3A towards the M40 interchange. Traffic's queuing because of an accident earlier on. All the vehicles have been quickly moved to the hard shoulder, but it has caused quite a bit of congestion back to 6 at the Birmingham Airport turn, the A45. It's rather congested around Birmingham this morning. You've got the T20 going on at the cricket ground in Edgbaston, so around there it's looking very slow going. Edgbaston Road, Pershaw Road, and also the A38 as well. Further along the A38 around Great Charles Street, Queensway and Newall Street is still queuing out of the city, not helped by a vehicle which broke down earlier. And obviously nearby you have the ongoing closure of the Queensway tunnels. Your matchday travel sees Baggies fans heading to Southampton for this afternoon's game. Along the M40, no reported delays and problems. The A34, the M3 also looking OK so far this morning. And Blues fans are heading to Brentford, so mention the M40, but the M25 and the M4 generally not looking too bad. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Without a doubt, the West Midlands is where it's happening. We want to hear from you, because this is your show. This is real people, real talk.
Sonny and I cannot wait to be in the heart of Birmingham and the Black Country to celebrate what is great. The people, the food.
I see my wife quite a lot. So I'm going to be out and about for the sunny afternoon, and wherever I'm going to be located, please come and say hello.
Sonny and I love to have fun. So if you're going to listen to the Sonny and Shay show, a lot of personality, a lot of fun, but also family. And we want you guys to be a part of it.
Afternoons with Sonny and Shay.
A brand new afternoon show.
Starts on Bank Holiday Monday.
From 2.
BBC WM 95.6.
Hang on a minute. Those guys are starting next week. Really? I don't start my Friday afternoon show until September the 12th. What? I feel I've been sold a pup. Yeah, but Friday afternoons, 2 till 4, from September the 12th, as well as Saturday mornings, 9 till 12. It will be me. And it's interesting what they were saying about it being your show. Nah, this is my show, and if you're lucky, I'll let you come on. 03453 009956. We're going to have a bit of music before the end of the show. Also keen to get your stories about hospital parking. I've had an email from Andy. I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, Linda's in Moseley. Morning, Linda.
Good morning.
You're talking about circumcision. Go on.
Yes. Did you know that women who are married to circumcised men are far likelier to not get cervical cancer? Did you know that? Because
I did not know that.
Yes, and my son was circumcised.
Why is that?
Because they're cleaner.
Well, hang on a minute. Let's say it. I clean my penis quite regularly,
you're
almost once a week.
You could be an exception to the rule, couldn't you?
Most men clean their willies.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, you would know it. Let's just tread carefully.
Nobody knows that. My son was circumcised 54 years ago in St Chad's Hospital. by a rabbi. And the head gynaecologist at the hospital, Mr. de Grey, assured me that he was going to get as many of the doctors to watch the ceremony as possible because of the way it's done so neatly
well then why don't we,
and cleanly.
Why don't
the child at 8 days old recovered almost overnight.
Why don't we allow the male to make that decision a little bit later on in their life?
No. It's a traumatic operation later on in life.
Hello, who has got
on.
Hello, hang on a second. No one surely has the right to decide to cut off a bit of a person's willy, apart from the person who owns that willy.
Well, this is in our laws and our tradition, and I abide by that, and I'm certainly glad that it was done, and so is my son.
So
and also, Jews
can I
don't...
get a word in, please?
Proselytize. We don't go out trying to bring people into the religion.
I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are, Linda.
I know you don't.
Well, no, I don't know. You're saying my people and we. I'm assuming now you're Jewish.
I am Jewish, yes.
Okay. The reason that it's that Jewish people circumcise their children, it's not because it will cut the risk of cervical cancer. It's to do with them stopping getting sand in their foreskins, which is pretty unpleasant.
Are you 100% certain of that? It goes back centuries, and of course, in those days, there was nobody heard of cervical cancer.
So why do you think that for thousands of years, then Jews have been cutting off the foreskins of boys? Why do you think that is?
To be perfectly honest, I don't know, and I don't particularly want to know.
You don't care. I bet your boy cares.
It was done, and it was a very, 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 very quick operation.
Here's the thing.
And he was better.
Here's the thing, right? If my parents had cut a bit of my willy off, and I said to them when I was older...
It's a bit of skin.
Yeah, on their willy.
It's part of your willy.
Of course it's part of your willy.
Skin.
It's part of your willy.
Yes, but it doesn't stop... No.
My foreskin is part of my willy, and I apologise if you're having brunch.
No... Oh... Yes, exactly.
But if I, as an 8-day-old baby, had a bit of my willy cut off by my parents, and then when I was older, I went up to my mum and said, "Mum, why did you cut my foreskin off?" And she went, "Oh, I don't know, just people have been doing it for thousands of years," I'd be pretty upset.
Well, I can assure you, if your little boy had been done at 8 days old, he wouldn't have had the trauma, and you wouldn't have all had the trauma of having him circumcised later on in life.
I wouldn't have done it. I've only done it to my youngest. I've not done it to my eldest. I've only done it to my youngest because he had a kidney problem and a bladder problem. They were wired up incorrectly, and this would reduce the risk of him getting bladder infections if his kidney packed in again. That's the only reason we had him circumcised.
Do you think your child is a one-off? Do you think it isn't happening to lots of little boys?
Well, it's happening to too many boys.
All over the world that realise
that against their will.
The parents find out later on that they need to be done, so it's more traumatic than when they're 8 days old. It's only done when they're 100% healthy anyway at 8 days. But it's done by a rabbi in our religion, and the doctors don't know how. They like to see how it's done.
It's not even done. It's not even done by a doctor. Oh, my gosh, you're cutting bits of boys' winkles off and it's not being done by a doctor? Really?
You've forgotten what I've earlier said, that Mr. de Grey, the head gynaecologist at the hospital, assured me that he was going to have as many doctors there to watch because the procedure is so quick that he wanted his doctors to be able to do the same thing.
Did you drink the blood?
Why did Mr. Go speak to a doctor, get a doctor on, and ask first of all if circumcised women married to circumcised men are less likely to get cervical cancer. Just phone up a doctor and ask them if that's what is known. It's known. It's known. And
yeah, that's because you're saying that men don't clean their penises. I suggest they do. Did you drink the blood?
Oh, my God, who do you think you are? What a disgusting, horrible thing to say.
No, it's not. It's a thing that happens.
No. I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's disgusting.
No,
totally
it's a thing.
An utterly ignorant disgust. Sorry.
It's a thing that happens. It's called the Brit Milah. You don't know the Brit Milah?
That is what it's called, yes.
Yeah, where the blood is drunk from the boy's penis.
Where do you...
Well, then explain it. If I've got it wrong, explain it to me.
That is rubbish. First of all, it's only men that go. It's not women.
Okay.
There's only men. But Where did you get that? You see, you're doing this on a Saturday morning when the really, really, really religious people who know the internet won't be on the phone or on the radio.
I'll do it on a Friday.
Completely.
I'm only on a Saturday. So you're telling me that doesn't happen, that no one drinks the blood?
That is disgusting. Jewish people with blood. This is why
this is what I'm asking. I have been told this, and I'm asking you.
Who
Calm
told
down.
you? Could they confirm it?
Well, no, you can... Listen, calm down. You can correct me about this, then.
No, I'm not calming down, because that is totally and utterly disgusting.
What?
Disgusting, and bringing the Jewish race and people into disrepute. I don't like you talking like that.
Then to defend it. Then tell me what.
I'm telling
so you're telling me this never happens.
We don't do those sort of rituals. That drinking the blood. Who on earth told you that? The same as the blood libel blooming thing that's been going round for centuries. It's defamation, and I don't like it, and that's anti-Semitic, and I'm calling you an anti-Semite. Goodbye.
Well, I'm not anti-Semitic. Infant dies after contracting herpes during blood-sucking Jewish circumcision ritual at hospital. This is from naturalnews.com. A 2-week-old boy died recently at Maimonides Hospital in Brooklyn after going a rarely practiced and highly controversial Jewish circumcision ritual known as Metzitzah B'Peh. The practice, which involves a rabbi literally sucking the blood from the circumcised boy's wound with his mouth, has long been considered by many as extremely high risk. Now, I'm just reading this now. I'm not anti-Semitic. What a ridiculous argument to put forward. I asked the question. I don't know. She says it doesn't happen. I've been told it does. I've just Googled it. Again, don't trust everything you find on the internet. It's come up straight away. It's in the Daily Mail. It's in the Daily Mail, Britain's best newspaper. When is this? What an incredible woman. You can't ask a question. This is from April of last year. 2 more babies stricken with herpes after ritual ultra-Orthodox Jewish oral blood-sucking circumcision in New York City. I'm anti-Semitic for asking a question, but she's fine to cut the end off her son's willy. 03453 009956. Let's go to Gordon in Tamworth. Good morning, Gordon.
Good morning, Ian.
Well, I've been branded a racist and now I'm an anti-Semite as well. Well, there you go.
She gave you a rough ride.
I would suggest unfairly.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Go on, what you got?
All I want to say is 2 things. One about hospitals and one about circumcision. I was circumcised as a baby through medical reasons. And I heard you this morning saying you was upset about your son being circumcised.
I was upset, yeah.
Well, can I just tell you something? And I've got to be careful here, and I may open a can of worms, but I'm now 66, and I did have lots of relationships.
Good boy.
And women find a circumcised one more attractive. A, it's cleaner, and B, it's more attractive.
Oh, well, I don't need to go into the aesthetics of it, OK? And we do have young ears listening, so let's tread carefully. But women have actually said that to you, have they? They've said,
yes.
Well done, I prefer that.
Yeah.
I've got to be so careful as to what I say. I can't lose this job either.
No.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to say to you, Ian, is don't worry about your son being circumcised.
I'm not worried. Do you know what? At the time, I felt I'd failed him a little bit. I really did.
No. Don't beat yourself up over that. No.
All right, listen, I appreciate your call, Gordon. Thank you very much indeed.
Can I just talk about hospitals?
Yeah, go on. Hospital Park, and I'm going to talk to a BBC reporter in a second about that. But yeah, go on. What do you want to say?
I had 2 experiences last week. I had to take my grandson to the... Oh, can I mention the hospitals or not?
Let's not for the moment.
Right. I had to take him to a hospital.
Yes.
Because he'd had an accident at a nursery and they wanted him checked out.
Yeah.
And we were there 1 hour, 5 minutes, but we had to pay for 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Now, my daughter, who broke her foot some weeks ago, I had to take her to another hospital, and her appointment was 2:15, and she wasn't seen by a doctor till 3:45.
Yes.
So she had to pay £4.75. This is where it's all wrong.
The thing is, if there's free parking in hospitals, and that hospital is not too far from a train station or a city centre, then people will just go and park there, won't they, for work?
Well, yeah.
It's a fine balance that they've got to get. Listen, I really appreciate your call. Thank you very much. 03453 009956. I feel I should just for the record, just stress, I'm not an anti-Semite in any way. I do question the practice of circumcision. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Well, we're talking about hospital parking. Hospitals in England have been... Oh, sorry, I've just got an email there. I'll read that in a second. Hospitals in England have been told to cut the cost of parking for some patients and visitors. It's on the front page of the, a lot of the newspapers today. The Daily Mail and the Express, they've been campaigning on this for a while. BBC reporter Paul Scoins has got more. Paul, what's the detail here?
Well, essentially, Ian, what the Department of Health are saying is that relatives of people who are seriously ill or perhaps have to stay in hospital for a long time should be given free parking or at least reduced charges. And those concessions could also be offered to people with disabilities and also some NHS staff, perhaps those staff who work, through the night, they can't get in on public transport, so they could also receive some concessional parking. And one more thing that Jeremy Hunt, the Health Secretary, is asking for is for hospitals to stop using these CCTV camera parking systems which monitor you in and check you in by the second. Instead, you would pay on exit, so you pay precisely for the amount of time that you use, rather than risk missing the deadline by a couple of seconds and incurring big fines.
There's been pressure on the NHS trusts on this issue for quite a long time, hasn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, not just from patient groups, but also from MPs. Last month, Jeremy Hunt told MPs that the costs were just too high. He said that the guidelines had been drawn up to actually put an end to the stress of unfair charges, as he called them. Conservative MP Robert Halfon, he's been campaigning for an end to what he describes as a rip-off of hospital parking and says it's just a stealth tax that should be scrapped.
Hospital car parking is a frontline issue as much as when we make decisions on whether we have nurses or doctors, because it causes misery for thousands of vulnerable people across our country. I mean, the stories that we have had of people not being able to use the machines, so they haven't been able to see their dying relatives, it is quite horrific, and we have to make a change.
Now, Ian, it's interesting that the trusts in England can charge as little or as much as they like. So some don't charge anything at all. Some charge up to as much as £4 an hour. The Daily Mail did a Freedom of Information request earlier this year, just to all NHS trusts to find out what the total revenues were that they received from car parking. Top of the list was the Heart of England NHS Foundation Trust in Birmingham, with a whopping, £4 million a year income from car parking fees, which is huge, really.
Well, the thing is, I guess, as well, that is such a significant amount of money that the hospitals would be reluctant to want to let that money go, wouldn't they?
Well, quite, and we all know that hospitals are facing measures, although the costs are being distributed around public services. But where would those hospitals go to replace that lost income? Also, I suppose, the reason that this is a problem is that the poorest in society, elderly, they're perhaps the most likely to get sick, but also the least likely to drive. So should they be given minicabs or provided transport to get to hospitals as well? It's a really difficult one.
Paul, this is for England. I'm going to take, and I don't know this, I'm going to guess that in Scotland it's either free or it's heavily subsidised.
You're absolutely right. Hospital car parking charges completely abolished in January 2009, so quite some time ago. in Wales, much the same. There are 4 hospitals in Wales which have stopped charging for parking, but those at the moment which do require payment are going to have to stop at the end of the contracts that they have with private companies. And in Northern Ireland, patients who have certain chronic conditions don't have to pay either. I should add that we've been tweeting about it this morning, some Labour members have told us, of course, that the Labour Party was going to abolish hospital parking charges in England before the last election, and it was the coalition government which reversed that decision, and this indeed is a U-turn, they're saying. But what Jeremy Hunt and other Conservative MPs have said is that this is long overdue, and what they see is bringing England into line, if you like, with the rest of the UK.
Paul, I appreciate your time. Have you got any plans for this evening, Scoins?
Any plans? Nothing concrete.
I feel like going out on the Raz tonight, maybe going out for some food, going to see a film. Do you care to join me?
I'm up for going out on the Raz if you want to do that, yeah.
Paul Scoins, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Your stories about hospital car parking, please. It is expensive. When my second son, it was snowing, so it would have been the first son was born. It cost a fortune to park in the... First of all, there weren't that many car parking spaces in the hospital, and you had to sort of beg the man to let you in. And then it cost a fortune. I got a parking ticket because I went and parked on the street, and you could only have 2 hours parking at a time. Oh, yeah, when your wife's in labour. Thanks, guys. Wow, 2 hours parking when your wife is in labour. That's brilliant. Andy's emailed in. Ian, I had occasion to visit, and I think we can name the hospital here because this is true, visit the West Bromwich Hospital yesterday to take a friend to the chest clinic. I parked for 1 hour, 2 minutes. The cost was £3.60. It's outrageous when you have no alternative. It is a lot of money, and I can see why hospitals will be reluctant to let that money go. But free parking, that can't work. Disabled people get free parking. That will be interesting because, again, I've done this as a phone-in and people have said, well, hang on a second. Why are the disabled people getting free parking? How is that fair? 03453 009956. Doreen's on the line. Morning, Doreen.
Hello.
What you got for us?
We went to the orthopaedic a fortnight ago, and when you put your money in at the thing, you've got to say how long you're going to be there. Well, how do you know?
Oh.
I must think you're clairvoyant.
Well, that's the thing, because as we all know, the people who spent time in hospitals, you're booked in for a 2 o'clock appointment. You might not get seen till 4 o'clock.
No, but my daughter said to me, I've got to say, look, how long do you think you're going to be? I said, I don't know, I'll just get the crystal ball out and have a look. And she said, you better pay as you come out, you know. But they say, I don't know what pain displays it or something. No.
Well, the thing where you get a ticket when you go in, and then when you go out, you put it in the machine and it gives you the cost.
You've got to say before you... Well, you've got to say how long approximately you're going to be there. Well, we don't know.
Now, listen, Doreen, I'm kind of telling from your voice. I think I'm good at judging people. We're talking about swearing earlier on. I bet you can swear like a docker, can't you?
No.
No?
I'm not going to say I never swear, but I never... My mother always used to say the F word. She always referred to them as capital letters. She always used to say, I swear, because she'd say, I'll kill you, cow, I'll kill you. But she never, ever... She always used to say, I'll never use capital letters. That's how she used to say it.
Yeah.
But you never hear me say that word.
Under what circumstances would you drop a swear word?
Bugger that, if I drop something on my toe or something like that, you know. But,
Doreen, thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
Ta-ta. Who'd have thought it would have been Doreen who would have left? It was a Category C. It was a Category C. Ken's in Sheldon. Morning, Ken. Kenneth in Sheldon. We'll rack him up. He'll let me know when he's ready. 03453 009956 is the phone number. Ken, are you there? Oh, Ken's disappeared.
No, I'm here.
Hello, Ken. Sorry, I had the wrong fader. My fault. Turn your radio off, Ken. What have you got for us?
Yeah, where do you get the idea that disabled people can park free in hospitals?
I didn't say that.
You just said it. You said, disabled people can park free.
Didn't say that.
What did you say then?
I said, imagine disabled people parking free. That will upset some people.
You said disabled people can park free.
No, I didn't. I'm talking about the story that we just discussed with our reporter, where disabled people will be allowed to park for free when the changes are brought in.
You see, this is the problem we've got in Birmingham at the moment now. If you go to one major hospital in Birmingham, there's 2 floors for disabled people, and all you have to do is show your blue badge. They'll let you in and say that as long as you like, and when you come out, you show your blue badge, they'll let you out, no charge.
Right.
Right? Now, you go to other hospitals in the Birmingham area, or the West Midlands area, and you have to pay. You have to pay this pay and display. Now,
are you saying that disabled people should get free parking?
Say again, sorry?
What?
So I didn't catch what you said.
Sorry, Ken, it's not the greatest line. Are you saying that disabled people should get free parking in hospitals?
No, I'm not.
Right.
What I'm saying is the problem you've got in hospitals, which is something that happened to me, is that when I was in A&E, went to see a doctor, I'd already paid for 3 hours, and then we had some flunky come round with a clipboard saying registration numbers, and she was reading these registration numbers out. Your time is nearly up.
No, really?
Yes.
Like some working men's club in the 70s?
Yes, your time is nearly up. Well, and I said, well, I'm here at the moment. I said, well, do you want to go out and feed the machine? And I thought, well, hang on, if I go out and feed the machine, I'm going to lose my place. So they said, well, if you give me £2, I'll go and push the machine for you. And I was completely flummoxed. I thought,
that is incredible that someone with a clipboard would go round reading out car registration numbers.
Yeah, only on the power display. Yeah, I mean, it's been about 6-7 years ago. So
and one thing you don't want to hear in a hospital is, Ken, your time is up. That's not the kind of phrase you want to be hearing there.
Especially when I was on the cardiac unit.
Ken, listen, thank you very much indeed. Ken in Sheldon, 03453 009956 is the telephone number. Lee's in Balsall Common. Morning, Lee.
Hello.
What would you like to say?
There is no such thing as free hospital parking. The reason being is how you pay for it. Say, for example, in Scotland, you can't have completely unregulated parking in hospitals. It's unworkable. People would park their car there for a month. They'd go to the shopping centre. They'd go to the train station, etc., etc. So you have to have some form of compliance. If you have compliance, it costs money. The machines costs money. It costs money to empty them. It costs money to fill them full of tickets. They break down. You've got to have them serviced. So all that costs money. So for me, it's not whether it's free or whether you have to pay for it. It's how much money it costs to run it. Provided it's a revenue-neutral exercise and they don't actually make any money from the hospital parking, I've not got a problem with that.
Well, this is the thing at the moment, isn't it? We heard from our reporter there that Birmingham and the West Midlands, they make £4 million a year from the parking.
That's true, but the thing is, that £4 million is going into the hospital budget, presumably. So if they lose that £4 million, you'll just put your taxes up. So you will get that £4 million from somewhere, won't they?
But is it right? You can't you can't financially penalise people to sustain the hospital services. You can't say to someone, right, you got cancer, so you're going to pay. You're visiting someone who's got cancer, so you're going to pay to sustain the hospital services. That can't be right, can it?
You're paying anyway.
You're paying anyway. So why pay twice?
Is, what I'm saying is that provided the hospital parking is revenue neutral, you have to have some form of compliance in parking. You cannot.
But if they're making £4 million a year, that's not neutral, is it?
Sorry?
If they're making £4 million a year, then that's not neutral, is it?
That's right. But if they lose that what do you think they're doing with that £4 million? Having a massive party at Christmas. It's going into the hospital budget.
Yeah, but
and if they lose that £4 million,
what I'm saying is,
elsewhere.
We're going round in circles. The people who are visiting cancer patients, people who are having babies, should not be contributing towards the upkeep of the hospital. They've already done that with their taxes and their national insurance.
That's fine. That's fine. I've not got a problem with free hospital parking, but my point is, whether you put money in the machine or it comes out in your income tax, you're paying for the hospital parking. One way or another. It's not whether you're paying for it, it's how you actually give the government the money.
But this is where you're contradicting yourself. You're saying it's fine as long as it's financially neutral. It's not if they're making £4 million out of it. They're making £4 million out of it.
They are making £4 million.
So that's not fine, in your opinion?
Okay, so, well, what I'm saying is, I'm pretty sure the local authorities aren't supposed to make money from parking. right? This is the local. They're not, I don't think, but they do. It goes into the council tax. But if you wanted completely free parking everywhere in the city centre, they'd just double your council tax. So my point is, I'm fairly philosophical about hospital parking because either way, you're still going to pay the same amount of money to run it. It's just how you're going to give the government the money. That's the question, isn't it? People don't like it. If you don't like putting money in the machine, they'll just stick your income tax up and they'll pay for it that way, won't they?
Listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much indeed. I'm just getting up the figures. I can't read it. It's too small on my computer. It's too small. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Look at that, there's only 15 minutes left. Shall we have some music? Yes, why not? Let's have some travel first. Let's find out what's happening with Liz Saul. Liz?
Thank you, Ian. The M42 going south, still struggling to clear from an accident earlier, although the queue is getting a bit smaller. It's between 5 and 3A now. The Solihull exit to the M40 interchange. In and out of Birmingham, still quite busy, still quite slow going around the cricket ground and Edgbaston Road, Pershaw Road. The A38 is starting to ease off a bit. There are the T20s going on at Edgbaston today. Play got underway about 45 minutes ago. As you head around Pershaw Road, as I say, that's looking rather congested. Make your way onto the rest of the motorways. The M40 going south, that's looking okay, which is good news for your match day travel. Baggies and Blues fans heading down the M40 for their games this afternoon. West Bromwich fans going to Southampton. The A34 M3 also looking okay, but it is a good 3.5 hour journey. The M25, the M4 not too bad either for Birmingham fans heading to Brentford. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
Fireman has found the corner of the net. Villa's first goal of the new Premier League season.
Claret and blue, gold and black, Blues and Saddlers, Baggies attack.
Must be! It's Berahino again!
We'll not shy away from a challenge. We've been dragged through the dirt. Stand up and show your true colours. Kiss the badge on your shirt.
Where's Thomas for Birmingham City?
You always need someone to share every moment. We'll be there till the season's end. Your club is our club. The goal horn awaits, my football friend.
The station for commentary this season.
BBC WM
95.6.
We'll speak to Daz in a few minutes and find out exactly what's going on. But right now, we've been looking ahead to this year's Moseley Folk Festival over the last couple of weeks, before the event launches next weekend. Well, if you were listening last week, we had Midnight Bonfire come in. Sans, not ukulele, not banjo, mandolin. The mandolin player brought the wrong mandolin. What a silly sausage. Anyway, they were half good. This is what they sounded like last week.
Pain, pain, go away, it's not for me today. I will, you forget my. I will, you forget my existence. Time is there to waste. I wasted too much on you.
Hey, they were good. And the fella singing didn't sound anything like he looked like. Well, this week, I'm joined by Birmingham-born singer-songwriter Dan Whitehouse, who'll be taking to the stage next Saturday in Moseley Park. Morning, Dan.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in. I tell you what, shall we get straight into a song and then we'll have a chat afterwards?
Yeah, sure.
What have you got for us first?
This one's called Maybe I Too Was Born to Run.
Away you go, fella.
I've been looking for someone or something to come along and close the deal. I've been drawing circles, but no one has come close enough to feel. Should I stand here and wait for the sun? Should I get moving? Maybe I too was born to run. Maybe I too was born to run. circles, but now I'm falling back to square one. I've had my heart broken, yeah, I'm broken, but isn't everyone? Should I stand here and wait for the sun? Should I get moving? Maybe I too was born to run. Maybe I too was born to run. Maybe I too was born to run. Should I stand here and wait for the sun? Should I get moving? Maybe I too was born to run. Maybe I too was born to run. Maybe I too was born to run. Maybe I too was born to run.
Hey, that was... What a relief. You're really, really good. There's always the danger, Dan, when you invite a musician in, that they could be a little bit stinky. That was fantastic, mate. How long have you been doing that for?
I've been releasing solo stuff since 2008.
And I'm guessing you're doing this online, are you? Because the whole internet, I sound like such an old man, but that really has changed the way that people, you know, like you, can release music and get it heard by a bigger audience.
Yeah, it enables that free flow exchange of information. It's enabled me to build a small following. You know, I've done 3 albums and 3 EPs, and I'm looking forward to playing at the festival next weekend. It's the first... I've played it a few times before, but normally in the bar, so this is the first time they've stuck me up on the big stage, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And you're kind of the support... You are the support for Richard Thompson, a legend.
Yeah, I saw him play, you know, a few years ago. He's amazing, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he is just incredible. Do you ever get nervous at these kind of events, or is it you just get so in the zone that you just go ahead and do it?
It's a bit of both. I'm hoping that, you know, the latter will kick in and I can just immerse myself in the music, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about the songs more than... and that will help me to connect with the moment. But yeah, I'm sure that, you know, 2 of my most inspiring artists on the bill, the Felice Brothers and Richard Thompson, it's going to be a great night. It's such a great lineup this year, you know, Johnny Marr.
Oh, yeah, it's a cracking lineup, and I'll give details as how people can listen to the highlights on BBC WM. You mentioned, who was it that got you into music? When was it? What were you listening to? You went, do you know what? I fancy having a go at this.
You know, one of my dad's friends took me to see Chuck Berry play. He was 66 years old.
I was not expecting that as an answer. Wow, OK.
I love the way he plays, you know, with such passion, that kind of performance where you throw yourself off the cliff, you just totally commit to it. You know, Chuck Berry does that, Simon Felice does that, who I've toured with a lot, and he's coming back in November. I might be supporting him again. That's what I like, and I think that's when you can create something worth listening to, when you just... you know, sometimes when you see musicians performing and you think maybe they're thinking if they've left the iron on, or... It's like, I want to see a performer who just gives it their all to that moment.
Yeah, we've all been to those gigs where you think, hang on a minute, I've paid quite a lot of money for this. Could you stop pointing the microphone at the audience and getting us to sing, and you do a show for us? Dan, you've got another song for us. What are you going to play now?
I'm going to play a little waltz. It's called Why Don't We Dance?
Beautiful.
You tell me your secrets. You tell me your fears. I don't have the answers, but I've given you years. You say that you love me. You say I'm the one. but I don't hear your words when I'm lost in the song. Why don't you dance with me? Why don't we waltz? Why won't you move with me? Don't you want to feel close? I know I've been wayward, I've been up and down. Let's put that behind us and get lost in the sound. I wanna feel you breathing on the nape of my neck. I wanna pull you closer till there's no space left. Why don't you dance with me? Why don't we waltz? Why won't you move with me? Don't you want to feel close? Why don't you dance with me? What is wrong? Just put your hand in mine, sway to the song.
Dan, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having
If people want to find out more, what's your website? Where do they go? Where do they look you up?
It's dan-whitehouse.com.
Excellent stuff. Listen, best of luck. Thank you very much indeed for that. That Dan will be playing. And if you want to hear the best of the Moseley Folk Festival, you can on Sunday, the 7th September, between 2 and 4 on BBC WM 95.6. I always... Daz, are you there?
Hello, I've seen Dan a number of times live. I think he's one of Birmingham's best kept secrets.
He's good,
actually.
isn't he?
Yeah, and we've got a mutual friend. I don't know if he's still there. Simon Fox. I think he's played with Dan, and I've mentioned I used to be in a band. He was our guitarist.
You mentioned it, mate. You went on about it.
Yeah, I did a bit, didn't I?
Hate is a strong word, but I'm going to use... No, I detest people who can sing really well. Because there was a point in my life when I thought I could sing, and then I got to about 27, and I heard back a recording of me singing, and I had to accept... I can't sing. I can't do it.
But it don't matter. But yeah, Billy Bragg can't sing. Ian Jury couldn't sing. It's not true. It's not necessarily, not everyone's Frank Sinatra. It's for me, soul music hasn't necessarily got to be Bill Withers. It's music that comes that means something from you. So you haven't got to be note perfect. You only have to watch the X Factor to find that out. It's not too late, Ian. We could be a duo. We could be the new Chaz and Dave, or the new Right Said Fred, or the new Milli Vanilli.
I'm off to work with Rylan Clark later on this afternoon, so yes, I know exactly what you mean. It's a joke, Rylan, for goodness sakes. Daz, what's happening on your show this week? Please tell me it's not football.
I'll get me coat. Yeah, it is football. We've got coverage of the lunchtime kick-off between Villa and Newcastle. We've got Albion this afternoon away at Southampton. We've got that live on 95.6. I'm at Molineux, Wolves Cardiff live on DAB and also on Freeview, channel 722 if you've got a Freeview telly. Ooh. Blues at Brentford live on DAB in the Birmingham area. Leyton Orient Walsall. Some of the talking points this week include, last weekend Blues won the first home match for 10.5 months, 1-0. My friend goes every week. He was in the toilet when they scored. So the important goals that you've missed.
Oh, that's a great one. Team. What have you missed? Yeah.
And you've heard about the Watershed. I've got a question for you. 9 o'clock start the Watershed. Serious question.
Yes.
When does it end? What time does it finish?
It ends, I think, judging from some channels that you can watch late at night.
Or when you get up early in the morning.
It ends, bizarrely, I think, at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Does it? Because I've often wondered why Lorraine Kelly wasn't effing and jeffing on breakfast telly from time to time. 5 o'clock in the morning, thank you.
Daz, have a good one. Thank you very much. He's on form today. It'll be a good listen. Thank you, Daz. Thank you to Dan Whitehouse for coming in. I know there was some shenanigans going on in the background, and so we almost didn't have Dan. I'm really glad he did. That was cracking. Bernie, Simon, Alex, everyone on the team, thank you very much for your help this week. If you want to get in touch with me during the week, you're more than welcome to. Iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. I actually had an email from someone who suggested something we might like to look at in a couple of weeks. We will be looking at that. Thank you. Could be an interesting conversation about creationism. Right, that's it. I'll be back next week. Ta-ta.
We've full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online. bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
So we've a big afternoon of football on the way, all 5 of our teams in action, and join me, Daz Hale, next for your big match build-up in early kick-off. But first on BBC WM 95.6 with the news at midday, here's Rob May.